Part 73. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 724. The warehouse was filled with discarded and rusted steel, including ship hulls, anchors, rudders, aircraft propellers, aircraft wings, etc. At this time, a girl was putting her hand on the exploding gun barrel. The girl's name is Okra. Her figure is not very tall, her appearance is not very delicate, her face is a bit round, and she has a bit of baby fat. She can only be described as cute. My father is an admiral and has many ship wives, so in addition to my biological mother, I also have many godmothers. The only thing that has always made her feel a little difficult, or rather funny, is the destroyers. When I was a child, they were so big and everyone played together. Even when I grow up, they are still so big. First I was called aunt, then elder sister, and now younger sister. The hierarchy of generations is completely messed up. To be honest, she prefers a godmother who is gentle, kind, and beautiful, with no faults at all, compared to her biological mother who is a bit snobbish. Because of this, if you want to become an admiral, only a kind person can become an admiral, and only a person with perseverance can become an admiral. It is not that easy to become an admiral. She is very lucky, or rather, she has been well educated since she was a child, and now she has the potential to become an admiral. Do not avoid enemies when doing external actions, and do not avoid relatives when doing internal actions. I took the letter of introduction from my father and came to the Naval Academy in Chuangziu. I passed the written examination and interview easily and entered the academy smoothly. After all the messy procedures were completed, it was finally time for new people to build. After a long time, the palms were released from the steel, and Okra came to her senses, although the history contained in the steel was still vivid in her mind. She looked at the sky outside from the window, took out her pocket watch from her pocket, and just glanced at it. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest with excitement. At this time, there is no mistake, it is you. A subtle smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. The Vanguard will always be your pilot. Are you the new commander? Well, you are finally free from the boring exercises. Okra slowly turned her head and saw Sister Yu with blonde hair and ponytail standing next to her. The ship's equipment is carried on its back, and the 4 turrets are like 4 frying pans. As the daughter of an admiral, she knows all kinds of ship girls very well, including rare ships and battleships. He suppressed the urge in his heart to hug her and kiss her hard. She complained about the cute quoi in her heart, and said with a playful smile, "New commander? Is there an old commander in the Vanguard?" "No, you are my only commander." Okra tilted her head and said, "You are a ship girl, not a battleship. You have no commander, and you do not have endless boring exercises. Also, don't talk about you, don't pinch it if you feel good. I am not your commander, we are friends, we are comrades in arms, we are sisters. My name is Okra, a very difficult name. I don't know how my dad came up with this name. Anyway, every time I eat okra, I feel very embarrassed." Qinwei showed a smile, and Chiu Kuei clenched her fists when she saw this scene, thinking that she had succeeded in gaining goodwill. After leaving the warehouse, I saw many people outside, some sitting on the grass and some standing in the shade of the trees. Without exception, these people are surrounded by girls, all admirals. Having heard many anecdotes from her father, Okra knew exactly what purpose these people had here. I was a little worried at first, but I didn't expect that I was a European and could build a battleship like Vanguard, unlike my father's initial ship which was a destroyer. In this case, well, let's say hello to the Vanguard first to avoid misunderstanding. Then there is one thing that must be clear about what is to be done next, whether it is the new admiral or the old salted fish admiral. If you don't show off your skills as an admiral, what's the difference between being an admiral and a salted fish? Seals want to bask in the sun when they come ashore. Okra looked around, and her target was a man she met after the interview. We had exchanged a few words with each other, and she was barely acquainted with him. "Brother Chen, have you come out?" Chiu Kuei said. "What ship girl has been awakened?" Destroyer tears were about to flow. "The destroyer is good. It has low consumption and is suitable for newcomers like us. My ship girl is the battleship Vanguard. Although it has high combat effectiveness, it also consumes a lot of money." After Okra finished speaking, she thought that resources are easy to solve and there is always a way. A battleship, especially a 5-star golden, rare, and powerful battleship like the Vanguard, is the lifelong dream of many admirals, a battleship that only exists in their dreams. All in all, the first blood was successfully obtained. Looking around again, Okra found a female admiral with short hair who was very suitable. Although there is a tall ship girl standing next to her, it is obviously a battleship, but it cannot be rarer or more powerful than the Avant-Garde. "Sister, senior, Meng Xian built this, the Vanguard, is it awesome?" Seeing that the female admiral Nana was speechless, Chiu Kuei smiled contemptuously. "What, you just want to be a hunter? Hunters are also prey. Do you think you can show off new recruits with just one battleship? He is just an old salted fish admiral, not enough to hang his ears. Double kill, triple kill, quadruple kill, 5 kill, big kill." This time Okra saw a young man smiling happily. The other party was sitting on a circular bench covered with white tiles and surrounded by a large banyan tree. Next to him was a little loli holding a popcorn bucket. The two people were talking and seemed very intimate. She has short pink hair, a hooded cloak with a big bow on the collar, a white shirt with a liver-colored high-waisted skirt, and then white stockings and small leather shoes. The little loli is 100% cute, and it's simply enchanting, but destroyer. Okra walked over and said, "Hello, senior, hello. Hello." With an innocent look on her face, Okra said, "I'm still a newbie and I don't know much about ship girls. Senior, can you ask me a question?" "Sure." Okra motioned to the ship girl beside her, and she said, "How about the battleship Vanguard? A very powerful battleship. What, where is the panic? Where is the envy? Why are you so cold? Don't you know how big the difference is between a destroyer and a battleship?" Thinking of this, Okra said, "Senior, your ship girl is so cute. Of course, Xiaozai is the cutest in the world, unparalleled. I can't tell, but he's still a Lolita Control Admiral. I'm afraid he's a member of the Would You Like Some Rabbits Today club, so he deserves to be the destroyer." Okra asked, "So cute, what kind of ship girl is she?" "Xiaozai, battleship Tirpitz." Did I hear you correctly, Tirpitz?" Okra paused and said. She only knew that the battleship Veneto was a little lowly, with no breasts and no butt, and would never grow up. But I have never heard of Tirpitz being a little Lolita, and generally speaking, she is a plump otaku. "You heard that right, she is the Tirpitz," Okra only heard the man say. "But so small. She's just that little, because she's a baby Tirpitz. Are ship girls divided into children and adults?" Okra made a sound of surprise. "She's the only one who's a bit special. You said the Tirpitz, that one is the same." Okra looked in the direction of the man's finger and saw a group of people walking over there. There was a person with long flaxen hair and the temperament of a wife and young woman. He was definitely not Tirpitz. A girl with long blonde hair, not too tall, with a plump figure, looks cold, and this is definitely not the case. She has short silver gray hair, with 2 clumps of hair sticking up like cat ears. Wearing a military uniform, but without the epaulets. His temperament is sharp, like an unsheathed sword. No. He has medium long pink hair and is also wearing a military uniform. Instead of being chic, neat, and handsome, it would be better to say that he exudes decadence. It can be said that he has embarrassed the military. It must be her, the Tirpitz is a homebody, that's how it should be. Those people are very strong, terrifying monsters, Kinway whispered in his admiral's ear. Okra's eyes swept through the group of people, thinking, except Tirpitz, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, who are the others? What's the relationship with the young man around you? What relationship? In fact, she already knew, but she just didn't want to believe it. Because they saw that group of people looking at the young man next to them with doting, happy and gentle eyes. He looked at himself with doubtful and wary eyes. After a pause, Okra heard the little girl named Xiao Zai again, who was said to be a young version of the Tirpitz, shouting, "Sister Meow! Sister Meow!" Could it be Bismarck? She had a pirate cat among her nicknames. Sister Lexington. The aircraft carrier USS Lexington, no wonder it looks like a married woman, a young woman, a perfect wife. Sister Gaga. The ship girl headquarters distributes resources to the admirals. The resources of a certain unit are called 1++. I am afraid that the 1++ is Saratoga. The ones behind could no longer be seen or heard, and Okra felt like a fool. If it were someone else who knew his little trick, he wouldn't be able to say anything about it. The avant-garde is very powerful, but if you show it off in front of such a big boss, the other person will probably laugh to death in his heart. At least if the identities were switched, I would laugh to death. Until the girl left like a zombie, Saratoga asked, "Brother-in-law, who is she?" Sitting aside and watching the excitement, someone suddenly came to the door. Sugu said, "The new admiral, the junior school girl, her ship girl is the avant-garde, and she came here specifically to show off me. The issue of the C-301 anti-ship missile has been resolved. Day by day, it is mid-October. The exams at Chuangzhou Naval Academy are over, and the new admirals have enrolled. Today is their initial construction day. Last time, because Xianghe and Ruhi missed it, this time there was nothing going on in the town hall, so he came to Chuangzhou specifically to have a look." Saratoga said, "Go away, what's the big deal, still showing off your boat?" "It's just that he cheated in the garrison." Sugu said, "It's already very rare." Lexington said, "Funny, Admiral, you don't want us to accompany you. Look, someone is here to show you off." "Actually, I just want them to show off to me." Sugu hugged Xiao Zai tightly and rubbed his face. It wasn't until Xiao Zai felt disgusted and pushed him that he let go. "When you are by my side, no one dares to get close to me." Lexington shook his head, and then asked curiously, "How is it? Is it interesting to watch people build it?" "It's not interesting," Sugu said. "I thought to myself, if you are not a party involved, you have no way to see the history of steel, you can only wait outside." Saratoga said, "You might as well go shopping with us." Sugu thought for a while and said, "Most of the new admirals are serious and do whatever they want. A small number of people, like the person just now, I saw her showing off her skills everywhere. At the beginning, there was one person who was very playful and entered. He ran out of the warehouse not long after. As soon as he came out, he cried and rolled on the floor, shouting, 'I saw a battleship, just a little bit is enough, you owe me a battleship, I don't want it, I don't want it, no, I don't want it.' There was a man who built a heavy cruiser. He walked, sang, danced, and turned a few somersaults. I saw that his ship girl looked so embarrassed that she definitely wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. There was another before personal construction. Well, I laid out the tributes, which were just a pig's head, burned incense, and then came and paid homage. A little girl cried when she built a light aircraft carrier." Saratoga asked, "Brother-in-law, how was it when you built the city of York? Did you dance?" Sugu was dissatisfied. "You're still dancing. You're such a bastard. I gave York City a kick. I heard, you peeked at her. She stands tall on her own. Going back, Bazai mumbled beside him. Sugu looked at Bazai and asked funnily, you are determined to come to Chuangziu alive and well, what did you buy? Bismarck hugged Xiaozai, and she answered for Bazai, she didn't buy anything. Sugu thought to himself, Bazai insisted on coming to Sichuan show, and there was no need to say more about the purpose. I didn't know you were here too. Now, I'm so exhausted. It's better to stay in the garrison. Sugu saw Lexington carrying large and small bags, and he asked, what did you buy? Clothes. Lexington said, I bought you a windbreaker. I already have a lot of clothes, Sugu said. Just like Lexington at this time, there are usually too many people buying clothes for him, and the wardrobe is full. In fact, he doesn't care too much about clothes. A few changes are enough, and he usually wears admiral uniforms when going out. Lexington said, I feel that you look very handsome in it and will be able to charm many little girls, so I bought it. Saratoga lowered her head and whispered, not letting anyone hear, sister, there are already a lot of vixens. Even if you know the size, it's not that simple. Sugu said, how do you know it will fit me and look handsome? Admiral, you have to trust my vision, Lexington said, I bought it anyway. Let's go back and try it on. Everyone was kind and well-intentioned. Sugu didn't say anything more. He looked into the distance and asked, aren't Washington and the others with you? When I came to Sichuangziu this time, many people came to the governor's mansion, and they had to gather before they could go back together. Washington took North Carolina to who knows where, Lexington said. Is South Dakota with them? Of course, Saratoga said. Sugu said, Fletcher didn't come back with her sister, and, we'll have to wait anyway. The whole of the following October, except for pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, nothing happened, and the days passed very quickly. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 725. Gently lifting the quilt, the Prince of Wales sat up from the bed. Before she could reach her slippers, a hand reached out from the quilt and grabbed her wrist. Let me go. The Prince of Wales's voice was far from cold, it was no different from usual. But even with such a calm tone, the usually naughty little loli immediately became honest and turned into a trembling little quail. Leipzig, who was managing the warehouse and nagging distressedly every time someone took something, immediately fell silent after hearing this. However, Sugu was not afraid. He narrowed his eyes and did not let go of his hand. He whispered, let's sleep again. Even though the garrison is located in the south, it has gradually entered late autumn. You can also wear a t-shirt, shirt or vest plus a jacket during the day, and it will still feel a little cooler in the morning and evening. To be honest, sleeping in this lukewarm weather is the most comfortable. It's not like winter. Although it's very comfortable to be wrapped in a quilt, you'll get cold when you get up at night. Two people in a quilt can easily get cold due to air leakage. With no hair on her face, her curvy and alluring body was exposed to the air, and the Prince of Wales did not hide it. She looked at the lazy face next to her and said, you don't have to exercise with Bismarck anymore. Why did I hear such a hint of jealousy from your mouth? Sugu said, actually, you can train with us, and you can run with me as often as you want. The Prince of Wales remembered the scene of her admiral running around the playground of the town hall. She laughed contemptuously, you are so embarrassed to say that after you have run one lap, you have already run 2 laps. But I won't throw it falling on the ground, this is the real little princess. Sugu added, no matter what, as long as Bismarck does it first, you won't be willing to do it. She ordered a hamburger, and if you want to eat it again, you will never want a hamburger. You are sisters, there must be love and no conflicts. The Prince of Wales replied, I have no problem with her. You really don't feel guilty for saying this, Sugu smiled playfully, otherwise, you and Bismarck came to my room together tonight, The four pillars of life. We carried guns together, shared windows together, shared dirty laundry together, shared a bed together. The Prince of Wales's eyes narrowed slightly, and his front body shrank like a poisonous snake getting ready to attack. Danger. Before Sugu could surrender and admit defeat, the Prince of Wales raised his hand and punched him on the shoulder. As a battleship, the Prince of Wales would have a hole in the steel if the power from the ship's equipment was used. Even if she only uses the power of an ordinary person, she is not a young girl. With such a punch, most people would roll all over the floor after eating it. There was just a layer of quilt between them, but even if she was teased like this, facing her husband and admiral, she couldn't bear to exert force at all. He lifted it high and lowered it gently. Sugu only felt a slight pain. You'd better find Bismarck and Bazi, they happen to be a pair of sisters, the Prince of Wales said. Sisters are very good, but they were enemies, but they served together. Sugu didn't dare to say the next words, and he was too quick to show off his words. Then again, Bazi didn't care, and he was probably still very interested. Bismarck simply thinks too much. Even if she has a soft side, she will never show timidity in front of her sister. She is serious, rigid, and dignified. Seeing that the Prince of Wales' eyes were becoming more and more dangerous, Sugu interrupted, I told Bismarck yesterday that I would not exercise today. The Prince of Wales joked, didn't she keep saying that she couldn't slack off for a day? She's not slacking off. I need to rest. Sugu looked at the ceiling. Well, there are still 2 days left on the weekend before work. I think it is necessary to discuss it with her. I need to rest for at least 2 days a week. I know. I wish you success. While talking, the Prince of Wales stood up, but Sugu caught her again and said, I have said so much, but you still have to get up. You said you would sleep with me. I don't want to sleep with you anymore. Compared with his previous awkward personality, the Prince of Wales has changed a little now. I am the Prince of Wales, not the North House, not the Royal Oak, and the eldest sister of the Royal Navy sleeps in. Sugu said, isn't the eldest sister Huda? What do you think? Huhu laughed, and Sugu said, speaking of which, Hud is often bullied by Bismarck and Prince Eugen, but you don't help her. She just asked for it. The Prince of Wales never took the initiative to provoke, but Hud kept saying cat thieves and wanted to tease him from time to time. However, if the strength is not good enough, counterattack is a common thing. It is better to say that 100% will be counterattacked. Hud usually looks dignified, elegant, and generous, but I didn't expect. Sugu felt funny when he thought of Hud being bullied. The Prince of Wales said, she is also your wedding ship. Sugu said, there is no conflict. Seeing that the Prince of Wales wanted to get the underwear thrown on the bench next to the bed, Sugu said, really, it's only 7 o'clock at most, 8 o'clock at the worst. At least put on my underwear. The Prince of Wales sighed. It's better not to wear clothes. Sugu snickered, and then said, there are so many people in the town hall, and it's just one day, no one will notice you sleeping in. The Prince of Wales said, I usually sleep in, and no one notices me unless I fight back. But you are here, and everyone sees it. If my reputation suffers, it is all because of you. Okay, it's me. Sugu thought for a while and said, except for counterattack, is the counterattack outside? What if? If you are here, let her come in with you. Okay, I'll call her. Really? The Prince of Wales said angrily, no, but it's time for you to marry her. Can't bear to part with the ring. Pimp. Sugu said, last time, my reputation also asked me to get married. It's coming soon. You really have the nerve to tell someone else a ring in front of me. Obviously you asked me to get married. Sugu thought to himself, how could he let such a cute little maid go, waiting for an opportunity? The Prince of Wales was non-committal and honestly didn't want to share the Admiral with anyone else, even if the counterattack was the best of sisters. It's just that it's already like this, one more is no more, one less is no more. You've been sitting like this, aren't you cold? Sugu said suddenly. You haven't forgotten it yet. The Prince of Wales showed helplessness. His admiral was still unwilling to let go, so he had no choice but to return to bed. Feeling the admiral's embrace, the Prince of Wales actually wanted to be more tender. It was so warm. However, it only lasted for a second. The embrace was gone, and there was only the sentence, "It's so cold." Before the Prince of Wales could frown, Sugu hugged her again and rested his chin on his shoulder. "It's better to let me warm you." With the warm fragrance of nephrite in his arms, Sugu said, "It's been a year." "What year?" "You push me down from the distance." The Prince of Wales didn't say anything, he just thought that although he didn't care, everyone was still a little jealous. "You didn't understand anything at that time." Sugu recalled the scene when they went to the Shipgirl branch where the company was located. In fact, it's not just the Prince of Wales. For example, Bizai, the old SIG, is usually very pure. The Prince of Wales said, "You want me to be good at it? It's better not to, no one can touch my things." "I'm not your thing after all." The Prince of Wales felt great being sworn in as his owner. Sugu said, "Actually, I don't mind Lily, you and the counter-attack." The Prince of Wales poked Sugu's waist with his elbow, and then she said, "Are you too cowardly to never take the initiative?" He was a little timid, but of course he would not admit defeat verbally. Sugu said, "I'm not timid. Your figure is too good, juicer girl. You must be careful, otherwise your body will collapse." The Prince of Wales sneered. She knew her admiral's character very well. On the soft big bed, Sugu hugged the Prince of Wales' delicate body tightly, moved his hands up and down, and suddenly laughed. "Why are you laughing?" the Prince of Wales asked doubtfully. "A little fatter than Helena." Say it again. Even the Prince of Wales, as a woman, could not accept such a comment with peace of mind. "Fuller than Helena," Sugu said. "As for the breasts, they feel about the same." "Take your paw away." The Prince of Wales patted the palm of his chest. If it had been night, there would have been a fire, but now it was daytime. "Don't be so stingy," Sugu said. "Didn't I go to Colorado? I went to the front line. Before I left, I attended a party and saw the heavy cruiser Des Moines. Her figure was simply terrifying." "You are not her at all." "Opponent." "Really, the Prince of Wales is quite confident in his figure." "Actually, I think it's too big." Despite this, Sugu still wants to own a Des Moines. Thinking about it again, it's really a sin just to do it just for someone else's body. He added, "You, Helena, the world champion Fuzu, and Colorado, you used to be the first group, but now you are gone." The Prince of Wales sneered, "You are such a pervert." "I'm a pervert?" "You also left a lion behind." "Yes, lion." Sugu thought for a while, and he remembered that the lion's portrait in the game was very good, quite gorgeous, and Dupo was even better. Now it is his wedding ship, but the Prince of Wales did not mention it, so he almost forgot. It seems that most of the people in the original garrison have returned, so there are only a few people left. Lion, the Queen's vanguard in the training ground, Nelson and Rodney, and your mother, the Queen Elizabeth. "Besides, I did hit someone," said the Prince of Wales. "I have nothing to do with the Queen Elizabeth, friends, partners, sisters. Do you think they will be together?" "Have no idea." Sugu said, "There are also fish, big mackerel and archer fish. I wonder where they are." "Ululacan. They are young girls." "No, they should be considered Lolita when they grow up. They are actually not with Colorado and the others." "Daifeng, Mutsu." Sugu frowned. "Actually, there are quite a few people." The Prince of Wales said, "Fuzu." The two discussed for a while who was still missing from the garrison. After a long time, the Prince of Wales stretched out his smooth arm and picked up the watch from the bedside table. She looked at the time and patted Sugu's arm to indicate that it was time to get up. The Prince of Wales got up first, put on his underwear, walked to the closet, put on jeans and a bottoming shirt, and took out two windbreakers of different styles and colors. Which one do you think looks better? The one on the left. After putting on his windbreaker and running his hands through his hair and neck, the Prince of Wales pulled out his long hair. Then she walked to the window, opened the curtains, and saw that many people had gotten up in the town hall. She turned around again and saw that Sugu was still motionless, and sighed, "It's time for you to get up too." The Tomb of Heroes of Weenwen Township. "You're no hero." Sugu said, "You are going to be divorced if you can't speak. You can give me a try." "I don't dare," Sugu said. "How can I bear it?" The Prince of Wales briefly smoothed his long hair with his fingers and said, "Maybe you'll get tired of it soon." "How can it be?" The Prince of Wales said, "Yes, so many people, so many flavors, one every day, one every 10 days. Sugu said, "Don't say that. The Prince of Wales is sitting at the dressing table, and she wants to put her long hair up. Although I usually fight back and help, I have no problem being alone." Sugu finally got up and was getting dressed. He said, "I think your hair looks good with it down. Don't you like short hair?" "As long as they are beautiful, I like them all." "You are so honest," the Prince of Wales suddenly said. "What if I get fat?" Sugu asked back, "What if I become fat or ugly? You're not handsome to begin with. Men are talented and women are beautiful. It's better to say that a woman is talented and beautiful." Sugu said, "Really, Prince of Wales, why have you become so sharp in your speech? Where did you study?" He lingered until he was about to eat before leaving the room. The Prince of Wales left first, while Sugu went back to his room. Then he went out and saw Helena passing by. "You just got up," Helena said. "You guys are really good at playing." "What do you mean?" Sugu decided to fight back. "The Prince of Wales doesn't look like you, who indulges in prostitution during the day." Helena looked around and found no one, so she said, "Who is it that insists on prostitution in the daytime? I should push him out of bed." Sugu said, "The Prince of Wales and I just discussed that there were so many people in the garrison before. Who is still missing now?" Suddenly thinking of something, Sugu suddenly said, "The Admiral and the ship girl have a wonderful fate and connection, just like Veneto last time. Do you think someone will come back today?" Helena said, "It's so whimsical, how could it be such a coincidence?" No one returned to the governor's mansion that day. In fact, Sugu just said that and had no hope at all. Then a week passed and no one returned to the town hall. Late autumn has passed now, and the calendar says it's early winter. His name is Tian Hao, an admiral. He wants to kill someone, and the other person's name is Sugu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 726. How, what do you think? General, his name was Tian Hao, an admiral. The man looked at his wife and the wedding ship Kaohsiung. Perhaps among the ship girls, the other party's reputation is not that good. Whenever they are mentioned, they are a family member, a heavy patrol idol or something. However, now she is wearing a white yukata dotted with cherry blossoms, her black hair is tied up high, and she is truly a beauty. Kaohsiung was holding a pearl necklace and saw that the pearls were round, plump, and shiny. She said, "How about buying it?" "How much?" "Not much, pretty cheap." Tian Hao looked through the glass counter and glanced at the label. "Like many men, I don't understand why women are willing to spend so much money on a piece of jewelry." He wanted to say, "Prodigal bitch," but he didn't dare. He wanted to say that you already have a lot of jewelry. You have at least 5 pearl necklaces, all of which are placed in the jewelry box. You have worn them a few times at most. However, before he could organize his words and express his opinions tactfully, Kaohsiung had already put down the pearl necklace. I want it, please wrap it up for me. He hesitated to speak, but this time Tian Hao finally understood that what Kaohsiung just said was not to ask himself, but to inform himself. Leaving the jewelry store and walking on the winter streets, the sun was warm and Kaohsiung suddenly said, "What should we eat for dinner?" "Let's go for beef and stew radish," Tian Hao said. "It's winter and the weather is getting colder, so soups must be the main dish, otherwise the dishes will get cold in no time. My cooking skills have improved, although the level of late-night snacks is still the same." Kaohsiung readily agreed with her admiral's opinion. She said, "Last time I bought a lot of radishes and left them in the cellar before I finished them. I don't know if there are still beef dishes at this time. I have to go to the vegetable market to have a look. The county town is not big. Just walk across the street and you will reach the vegetable market. The ground here is dirty and there is wastewater everywhere. After all, most people are not that particular. Tian Hao wanted to remind you, be careful when you are wearing a bathrobe, otherwise I will buy it." However, Kaohsiung had already entered, and he swallowed back the words that came to his lips. After quickly buying beef and vegetables, carried by Tian Hao, Kaohsiung squatted in front of a vegetable stall on the ground, first asked the price, and then bargained skillfully. "I ordered 2, it's cheaper. For a garrison, as long as it is not delicacies every day, the cost of food is completely negligible." It was clear that Kaohsiung was just enjoying the fun of bargaining. Tian Hao looked at his wife getting a bargain with a happy smile on his face, just like an ordinary housewife. Suddenly something occurred to him, and he asked, "Kaohsiung, how long has it been since you went into action?" Kaohsiung stopped smiling and asked curiously, "Why do you suddenly ask this question?" "I suddenly wanted to ask," Tian Hao answered. "You are the admiral, responsible for arranging and commanding. Don't you know how long it has been since I went on an attack?" Kaohsiung said, "It's been a long time." Tian Hao looked towards the towering green hills outside the street. In addition to his own townhouse, there is a townhouse in this county behind the mountain. He said, "Since they came, you have made fewer attacks, and now there are no more." Tian Hao had to admit that he was a little wrong. No matter how hard he tried, there was only one ship girl. Because of this, there have always been 2 garrison houses in the sea area. In addition, the previous admiral of that garrison was also an African. Although there are more ship girls, the quality is not much better. Generally speaking, the 2 of them are equally matched, and that's why they got together. It's funny to say that they were originally a staunch battleship party and longed for battleships with fair skin, good looks, big breasts, and long legs. However, if things don't go as planned, we can only lower the standard by 1 level every year. Even so, in the end, he still fell into the arms of the "Would you like some rabbit today?" club, which kept saying whoever opposes the destroyer will have his dog's head smashed. Later, he was transferred due to something else, and a new admiral came. We had met on a passenger ship, and he had the cutest little house in the world. The young Tirpitz seemed to be a very European admiral. At the time, I could never have imagined that such an admiral, who had only owned the town for a few years, had suppressed the deep-sea flagship twice, accomplished things that many bosses who had been running the town for many years could not do, and owned countless people in a short period of time. The ship girl. If it were another admiral, even though he was no longer young, he would still have no problem saying 30 years to the east of Hedong, 30 years to the west of Hexi. As a man, don't bully young people who are poor. However, in such a garrison, so many ship girls, gave up. I never dared to think like that in my wildest dreams, it was too outrageous. There are so many ship girls in the garrison, and they are all so strong. It took a lot of effort for a deep-sea ship girl to appear in the nearby waters. They are not divided enough, so there is no need for me to attack. On a regular basis, no matter how late I return to the town hall, the light in the office is always on. Although he is usually careless and looks quite bad, Cao Sheng still knows his admiral's thoughts very well. He no longer has to see his admiral anxiously waiting for him, asking questions and worrying about his hands every time with a worried look on his face. Now that she could live like an ordinary person, far away from the battlefield, she was actually very satisfied, and a smile couldn't help but appear on her lips. People are more irritated than others, and they don't worry about being few but about inequality. How could God be so unfair? Tian Hao looked unhappy and said, "A seal, let me see him now, I have to kill him." Hooking his fingers around the straw with which the vegetables were tied, Cao Sheng smiled, looked at his admiral, and thought to himself, "You just have a good mouth." Before taking 2 steps, she suddenly stopped because she spotted a familiar figure and smiled. "Ah, how, do you think that is Sugu?" Tian Hao glanced at him. He didn't say anything more, he just said, "Ignore him, let's go." Cao Sheng joked, "Why don't you say hello? The only thing I don't want to see is that person. Every time I see him, I'm not in a good mood for the whole day." Tian Hao looked unhappy. "Why are you calling him? What are you saying hello? Are you calling him for dinner?" "Let me tell you," Cao Sheng became even more amused, "shouldn't you 2 admirals get along in harmony? Not to mention how good friends are, after all, each has his own garrison, but a good relationship can still be considered." Tian Hao said, "But, who wants to be friends with Europeans? One by one, stab them all to death and hang them up to dry." Tian Hao planned to leave secretly, but Cao Xiong said, "Give up, he saw you, he came over." Having no other choice, Tian Hao stopped and said hello helplessly. "Someone Su." "Old Tian, brother Hao." Sugu thought it was quite a coincidence to come out once in a while. Cao Sheng asked, "Admiral Su, I usually only see your ship girl coming out, why are you free today?" Sugu replied, "It's too boring to stay in the guardhouse every day." "You alone?" Sugu said, "No, they are at the vegetable market." Cao Sheng joked, "We were talking about you just now, and Tian Hao said he was going to beat you to death." "What have I done to treat me like this?" Sugu looked innocent. Tian Hao said, "Cao Sheng has not attacked for a long time since it took away the jobs of our garrison. Isn't it good to just get a salary without working? Even if you are an admiral, we still need performance." "How much is the dead salary?" Tian Hao seemed to have been greatly wronged. To be honest, what he said was quite exaggerated. Even if it is a dead salary, the salary of an admiral is simply beyond the reach of ordinary people. Everyone was already so familiar with each other. Sugu knew that Tian Hao was not really complaining or blaming. He deliberately ignored Tian Hao and said to Cao Xiong, "Whenever Sister Cao Xiong wants to attack, please tell me." Tian Hao said, "I said, your garrison is so strong, there is really no need to stay here. Where else would we go? The front line is for you. I've been there before, it's boring. Just nothing, and it's so expensive." Sugu blinked. He had a question he always asked every time he met Tian Hao, "Brother Hao, has it been built recently?" "Don't ask me this question, I don't want to answer you." Cao Sheng did not give her admiral face at all. She smiled beside her and said, "It was built, but it failed again." She shouted that she wanted to chop off her hands and jump off the building. She climbed to the top floor, took a look outside, ate a pear and came down. She also thinks that the pears I bought are not delicious. Every time the construction fails, as an admiral, he always has to swear something. But it's all just shouting, and no one really does it. Sugu actually heard about an admiral who failed in the construction and actually jumped off the building, he just missed it. Fortunately, it was only 2 stories high and there was still grass underneath. In the end, it was just a broken bone. After all, Only women's clothing bosses keep their word and wear women's clothing. Maid, dancing goddess, and magical girl are all worthy of admiration. Tianhao didn't speak and sighed. Cao Sheng said, Admiral Su, I heard that you have built the CV-16 again. Do you have any tips? You have such a purpose, you are really a good wife, Sugu thought. However, it's not that he doesn't want to say it, he really doesn't know. He said, I failed many times before I succeeded in building it. After all, it cost a lot of resources. Tianhao said, I definitely spend more resources than you. Sugu remained calm, although the metaphysics of luck is still a bit particular. Ruhi, Lafite, Saratoga, Sukbader, Reputation, Santiago, Prince Eugen, I hugged each one before building. After a while, the CV-16 was built. Is there such a method? Why haven't I heard of it before? Tianhao just finished speaking, and his face turned ugly. Except for the monster-like admiral in front of him, which garrison can gather so many people? It's not just prestige, it's Saratoga, it's Ziwihi, etc. Did you just get exposed again? It's true that people's hearts are old and it's impossible to guard against them. Tianhao said carefully, if I want to build it, I can. No, you are overthinking this matter. There is no need to talk or discuss this matter. Sugu looked determined. As a man, how could he agree to such a thing? He couldn't even say it. In fact, he also knew that Tianhao was joking. That's all. Cao Sheng asked, you really don't have any tips? There's no secret, Sugu thought for a while and said, I can give you some advice on how to salvage the boat. Tianhao spoke concisely and to the point, say. Salvage the ship. If we encounter the destroyer Clarkston, it will be easier for me to let Fletcher take action. It's just like if I encounter the heavy cruiser Maya, it will definitely be easier for Cao Sheng's sister to take action than to let you go. Then, if it is Prince Eugen, it will be easy for Bismarck to take action, at least it can increase a lot of percentage points. After all, warships have historical origins, and it is easy to get close to him. Unless you have most of the ship girls, how can it be so easy to just get it right? Tianhao's expression was distorted, and he found that he had been exposed again unintentionally. The other party's garrison was so powerful. Sugu said, Atago, Maya, and Chokai should be relatively easy to encounter. That's right. Tianhao nodded thoughtfully, I don't expect any more battleships, just give me a family. In fact, he didn't care. Cao Sheng said from the side, I'm telling you, don't talk in front of me. One family, keep talking. Sugu said, let me say, fishing for a boat is actually the same as chasing a girl. It is nothing more than being bold, careful, and thick-skinned. Take the initiative and don't drag it out. Otherwise, to put it harshly, you will eat shit. Can't get a hot bite. You seem to be very experienced. It's okay, Sugu said shamelessly. Over there, hey, look over there. As expected, Tianhao suddenly discovered something and motioned Sugu to look towards the street. Sugu was just talking and didn't pay attention. At this time, Sugu saw a woman standing on the street and under a tree, looking left and right. Although it is just a back view, it still makes people feel action. The woman's blonde hair was tied up and she wore a hairpin. The figure is even taller, and the cheongsam wraps her exquisite body, outlining alluring curves. In particular, there is a pair of long legs that are simply ruthless, not inferior to the leg fairy Yuxian at all. Tianhao said, she should be the ship girl. Maybe the killer from behind, Sugu said, how do you know? Tianhao said, it's better to be a ship girl. You can sleep without drying your hair, and you don't have to worry about headaches in the future. Wearing a cheongsam in the winter is so beautiful that you don't have to worry about getting cold legs, arthritis, or rheumatism in the future. Cao Sheng was too lazy to talk to these two people. He thought that the ship girl was blessed, but as a girl with such long legs, how could she wear woolen trousers or cotton trousers? Tianhao couldn't support himself. Su, don't you show me how to fish a boat. Sugu declined, I already have so many ship girls in my garrison. I don't need them anymore, so I'll give them to you. You come first. If you can't do it, I'll take action later. Tianhao made noises, but Sugu refused to go. Trash Tianhao sneered, he was ready to go up and give it a try. So it's not that he's not brave enough, there's only one ship girl, it's just right and wrong. After all, boat fishing also pays attention to eye connection, and you can't meet a ship girl who meets your eyes. Before Tianhao left, Sugu thought for a moment and said, I'd better go take a look first. Until Sugu walked away, Tianhao smiled happily, I want to see how powerful he is. Cao Sheng was also watching, and after a moment she said, it's really amazing. Standing on the side of the street, Tianhao's expression became increasingly ugly. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 727. Scharnhorst standing on the side of the street, Sugu introduced Tianhao and Cao Xiang. If this was Sichuan show, it wouldn't be surprising if any ship girls appeared. However, this is a small county town and is not yet a famous tourist city. Regardless of the food, specialties, or geographical location, there is nothing worthy of praise at all. A ship girl appeared in such a place without an admiral by her side. In fact, I didn't know in advance whether she was a ship girl or not. Even if she was, I just suspected it. So speaking of fate, I never thought that we would meet Scharnhorst under such circumstances. Then, this is my senior Tianhao, and my sister-in-law Cao Sheng, Sugu introduced to Scharnhorst. Scharnhorst smiled and said, hello. He was not an admiral. He didn't care about such things at all. He even expected that he would always be the only one beside the admiral. Cao Sheng returned the greeting, hello. Hello. Tianhao was very reluctant, but the ship girl was innocent, especially because she was a beautiful woman. She has a perfect figure that must be docile even in the most figurative Cheongsam, and her long legs are even more invincible. Realizing that the two of them seemed very close to each other and that they were not just acquaintances, Cao Sheng said in a funny voice, Admiral Su, you are so awesome. Scharnhorst, she was originally my ship girl. Sugu said, but he still explained it well. Tianhao had no expression on his face, thinking to himself, just say it, whatever the hell, I'm already devastated anyway. Every time they say they are former partners, the question is how old are you? If I were 50 or 60 years old, I would still be able to endure it, even though I am so young. Even so, once Yorktown, once CV-16, the two constructions that I know are aircraft carriers without any falsehood. What's going on in Missouri and Hindenburg? I heard from companies that they snatched people away during meetings. Until Sugu finished explaining, Tianhao was still non-committal. Even though it was already afternoon, the sky was bright, cloudless, and blue. He just looked at the sky and said against his will, it's getting late, something happened. Tianhao left first, and Cao Sheng showed a helpless expression. She was not worried that her admiral would offend anyone. After all, this kind of thing was already a daily occurrence, a monthly occurrence. But before leaving, she still bowed and said politely, come to our guardhouse to play when you have time. Until Tianhao and Gao Xiang left, looking at their backs, Scharnhorst asked, Admiral, do you have any grudges? No grudge. Sugu laughed happily. Ignore them, why are you here? Sugu said again. Originally, they just exchanged a few words. After all, Tianhao and Cao Xiang were nearby, so they couldn't talk too much out of politeness and couldn't leave them alone. It's nothing surprising if the ship girl comes back. It has happened many times. However, it would be strange to meet him in the county seat without returning to the town hall. Scharnhorst flipped her hair and said, "We heard about you, so we ran here. We were going to rush back to the town hall directly, but Spay said we saw you at the dock, so we came to find you. I was looking for them on the street, and they went to the vegetable market. I didn't expect you to see me first." Spay. Scharnhorst took it for granted, Spee, Admiral Graf Spee. And Deutschland, Admiral Scheer. This is a vegetable market. A vegetable market in a county town is not very big, but as the only regular vegetable market, it cannot be said to be small. A little older than a Lolita, a little smaller than a girl, somewhere in between, I saw 3 little girls walking through the small aisle between vendors. I can't say it's a mixed bag, but it's also a mess, and traffickers often run away with children. Although there are no adults around, there is no need to worry about safety issues. The main reason is that they are ship girls or even battle cruisers. Although it is a cultivation, pocket model, no matter how powerful the person is, it is just a piece of cake in front of them. The little girl with short blonde hair named Sci-fi made a confused voice, "Why is she missing?" I didn't see it. Her long blonde hair was tied into a ponytail. She was the eldest sister of the 3 sisters, Deutschland. Although he paid close attention to the surroundings all the way, he found nothing. Spee, did you see it wrong? Are you dazzled? This is the second sister among the 3 sisters, Scheer with blonde hair and twin tails. It's not dazzling. The county town is close to the seaside and has the most seafood, including dead fish and live fish. The smell of fish around is strong. Sipe wrinkled his nose. In addition to the Admiral, I also saw, what is it called? It seems to be Saint Who. Come on, it's her. Scheer said bluntly, "Spe, do you recognize San Juan? How tall is she? Oval face, or round face? Fat or thin?" "It should be her." Sipe hesitated, she became less confident. Scheer snorted and wanted to say something, but suddenly realized that he was not familiar with San Juan, so he stopped talking. To be honest, I don't blame them. San Juan belongs to the American family, and everyone belongs to the German family, so we are not familiar with it. San Juan is a little bit a Karen again, and I can't find any advantages or disadvantages. Beautiful is beautiful, but who among us is not beautiful? It's not like Helena's breasts were so big, or Sirius's mouthless. Not weak, not shy, not speechless, not stupid, just ordinary. Even among the sisters, there is no arrogant Juno, no more out of the box and boisterous character than Atlanta, no more fleshy, cute, and famous in history than Santiago. Spay pursed her lips and said, "Besides San Juan, I seem to have seen Prince Eugen, with blue hair." Prince Eugen is a German heavy cruiser, so he is naturally very familiar with it. Every time I follow Bismarck, the eldest sister, I am not just a 7th-rank official in front of the Prime Minister. He is very powerful, good at protecting people, and is also a well-known figure in the mansion. Scheer questioned, "I didn't say it just now, and now I say I saw it." Spay explained, "I didn't say Leipzig, I didn't say Emden, I just saw Prince Eugen." The 3 of them walked around again, but still found no one. Scheer said, "Otherwise, we should go back. Sister Scharnhorst is waiting for us outside. We can just go back to the town hall anyway." Desi agreed, but still hesitated for a moment, and then said, "I went back, I walked to the end and left without seeing anyone." Okay, both sisters agreed, but Sipe didn't insist. He had already given up, but just after passing an intersection, he suddenly saw a familiar figure walking by, and Sipe became excited. "Sister, there, there." Sipe loudly reminded to pick up her sister, and then chased after her to avoid losing sight again. Until she caught up with him, Sipe found that the person was missing again, and she started to complain. "Why can't I see it again? It's so mysterious. Sister, have you seen it?" Let's go to the fruit side and have a look. It must be there. Sci-fi said several words in succession, but when she didn't hear an answer, she looked back. There are still many people shopping for groceries, and people are coming and going, but my sister is not with me. Although she is a little smaller, Sci-fi with short hair still looks powerful and chic, but she is actually very timid, and her expression now looks a bit panicked. Ship Girl comes from the memory and history of steel, and from people's expectations and imaginations. Historically, the Spey was evacuated to the port of Montevideo when the Uruguayan government decided to violate the Hague Convention and require the Spey to evacuate the port. The British used diplomatic means and a media offensive to claim that they would send more warships to intercept Spey. This was nothing more than bragging. In the end, the Spey sank, which was scary. Sister Sci-fi's voice was very small. Sister, Sci-fi's voice was slightly louder. Where are you? Sci-fi said timidly, don't scare me. The eldest sister, Deutsch, is very nice and usually takes care of the housework, but the second sister, Sheer, is not so good and likes to bully others. Just as Sci-fi was panicking, a voice rang from the side, little girl, have you and your sister gotten separated? The vendor greeted him kindly, but Spey heard it but didn't think so. In a strange city, my sister is not around, and there is not even a familiar person, especially when everyone passing by has to look at me. The cute little girl looks like she has encountered a problem, her face is panicked, and her voice is full of crying. Of course you have to take a second look, and several people have even thought of helping others. Feeling that everyone had bad intentions and was desperate to avoid panic, Sci-fi walked away without answering the vendor's words. Until she stood in front of a fruit stall and realized she didn't know where she was going. I wanted to walk back at first, but it seemed I was going the wrong way. I want to shout sister loudly, but I don't dare. Finally summoning up the courage, Spey's voice still wasn't loud enough. After all, the vegetable field was already noisy, with shouts, bargains, arguments, and even people shouting with loudspeakers. In short, the little girl's shouting was of no use at all, but it was just a small stone thrown by the sea. Sci-fi looked around. There was a shed set up over the vegetable market to prevent it from raining. Although there are lights, the light is not good at all. There are rows of vegetable stalls and food stalls, and the stall owners are almost full of goods in order to put more things on them. Unless you jump up, you can't see far at all. It feels like you're in a maze. The pork seller looks fierce and is sharpening his knife. Could he chop himself off? The proprietress who bought dried kelp and seaweed looked at herself while talking to someone, as if she was saying something shameful. Otherwise, it's better to go out. Sister Scharnhorst must be outside the vegetable market. After making a decision, Spey found another problem. Where is the door? After walking and walking, I finally saw a little light, and Sci-fi hurriedly walked over. When she went out, she realized that it was not the street she came from. I remember that there was a rice noodle shop next to the street, and there were people selling tomatoes on the roadside. There seemed to be the government across the street, but there were two big stone lions anyway. Now everything is gone, there is only a big tree, and there is a group of people gathering under it, not knowing what to do. There are large pots placed on top of a row of briquette stoves. I don't know what kind of meat is in them. It seems to be dog meat, mutton, and fried screws. Anyway, it is delicious. Smelling the fragrance, she felt a little hungry again, after sailing for so long. I want to eat meat and drink beer. But Deutsch and Sheer walked for a while, and they suddenly found that their sister Spey was missing and could not be seen anyway. Spey seems to have gotten separated, Deutsch said, let's go back and have a look. Of course Sheer knew her sister's character, she chuckled, she might be scared to death. Deutsch glanced at his eldest sister dissatisfied, and then walked back. Spey didn't see it, and suddenly heard a voice. Germany. Deutsch subconsciously responded, and then saw a blue-haired girl carrying bags of things. It was Prince Eugen. There is a pink-haired girl next to him, who seems to be San Juan. "Why are you here?" Prince Eugen asked. Deutsch explained. Prince Eugen looked around and said, "I didn't see Spey." "Didn't she find you?" Deutsch said. "It seems she is really separated." The person disappeared, but he didn't worry too much. After all, Sci-fi was a ship girl and was not easily in danger. Of course, despite this, we still have to look carefully, and Prince Eugen and San Juan didn't buy anything. As soon as they left to find someone, and while chatting, Deutsch asked, "Isn't the Admiral with you?" San Juan complained a little, "We came here to purchase, and he came to play. I don't know where he is now." "Is he alone?" Prince Eugen replied, "Sigsby, Thatcher, and Sullivan, this time it's their sister's turn. By the way, there is also the Reputation. She is always by the Admiral's side." The vegetable market is located between two streets, with the main entrance on one side and the back entrance on the other. After accidentally walking to the back door, Sipe ran back to the vegetable market. This time she saw a staircase. She hesitated for a long time, thinking that her sisters might not go upstairs, but the Admiral might be above. Moreover, the vegetable market has a large area, located in the courtyard. Standing on the second floor, you may be able to see everyone, whether it is my sister, San Juan, Prince Eugen, or the Admiral. By some strange coincidence, she went upstairs, and then she realized that this place was full of shops for buying clothes. Sci-fi lay on the guardrail and looked down from above, but found no one. Then she changed places, and this time she saw her sister, and two people, who seemed to be Prince Eugen and San Juan, so she shouted, "Sister, I'm here. Sister." No one seemed to hear it, and Sipe didn't think much about it. She hurriedly prepared to go downstairs. Running across the aisle, not paying attention to the road, I accidentally bumped into someone and fell to the ground. "Sorry." Sci-fi got up from the ground. She was quite polite. When he took a closer look, he saw who he bumped into. He was wearing a maid outfit and had blonde hair that just reached his shoulders. Even though they are sisters, and even the other one is just a girl, Dafeng is afraid of the big mackerel, Royal Oak is afraid of U-47, and Royal Ark is always uncomfortable seeing U-81. If looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 728. San Juan opened his handbag, took out the money and paid it to the boss, reminding the boss to remember to deliver several boxes of dried yuba to the dock in time. There are so many people in the garrison, and they consume a lot every day. A lot of things need to be purchased at one time. Except for some items that can be carried directly after purchase, most items need to be delivered. After leaving the store, the two of them walked to the corner of the vegetable market that specializes in fruit. San Juan glanced at Prince Eugen and suddenly said, "Again, why are they going to play and we are purchasing here?" I passed by the deli and smelled the aroma. Planning whether to buy some cooked food, roast duck, pig ears, barbecued pork, or shredded chicken, Prince Eugen said casually, "You can go if you want, they should not have gone far yet, just leave the rest to me." San Juan opened his mouth, wanting to do something, but in the end, nothing came out, and it turned into a sigh. During the purchase, I accidentally met Deutsch and Scheer, and then everyone went to find the separated Spey. Finally, Admiral, Scharnhorst, Reputation, Spey, anyway, we all met at the door of the market. We had a good chat and reminisced about old times together, but the purchasing work was not finished yet, so we couldn't delay it, otherwise it would get dark soon. There were too many people, so it was inconvenient to walk around the messy vegetable market. In the end, I had to disperse, leaving myself and Prince Eugen alone. Prince Eugen comforted casually, "Scharnhorst and Deutsch have just returned. Even without them and their reputations, there are the three Sigby sisters. I guess the Admiral would not have time to talk to you. When San Juan heard it, she always felt that it was not so pleasant. She said, "It seems that I really want to talk to the Admiral." "Actually, you like him," Prince Eugen said. "Admiral." "What did you say?" San Juan paused. San Juan saw everything he did on weekdays, and Prince Eugen said, "Isn't it? Except for today, I haven't spoken more than 10 sentences to him in the past few days." Sad. San Juan tilted his head again and said bluntly, "Prince Eugen, you are the one. You must have liked him a long time ago. You must want to serve him with Bismarck." Prince Eugen stared at San Juan. For a long time, she looked at the window of the deli and pursed her lips. "Everyone is back. Let's order a big dinner tonight. What do you want to buy?" San Juan was silent for a moment. "Buy some roast duck, salt-baked chicken, sausages, meatballs, and mangoes, pears and grapes." The other side. We agreed on a time to go back and gathered at the pier. It was still early, so Sugu took everyone away from the vegetable market and walked down a street to the only square in the county. There were many people flying kites around, and some were running around with small windmills. There were popcorn and kebabs sold on the roadside. Thatcher, the little fool, was clamoring for something to eat, so everyone bought some. During this period, Sipe expressed that she wanted to drink beer, but she only got a glass of juice. In fact, she also had Coke to choose from. Walking on the grass, Sigsby was holding a marshmallow. She stuck out the tip of her tongue and clicked it, and suddenly said, "Spee." When she saw the reputation at first, it was so funny, she was completely stunned. "I was drinking juice, but I still wanted to drink beer." Although it was true, Sipe was not happy and retorted, "You are the one who is stupid." Spey, who has short blonde hair, looks normal and not shy at all. However, Sugu remembered that he was standing at the door of the vegetable market talking to Scharnhorst. When he saw this little girl, following behind Sheng Sheng, his whole body shivered. I was curious and asked what was going on. At a young age, she dressed up beautifully and claimed to be a little lady, but she was actually a little goblin, sinister and evil-minded. When Sigsby talked about what happened, it turned out that he was frightened. No need to say more, Sugu immediately understood why. It's strange that Scharnhorst is not afraid of fame. It seems that she is not timid, she just has a bad eyesight. To be honest, I usually have a reputation as the head maid in the Toot Larry mansion and have outstanding abilities. Although not as gentle as Lexington, most of the time he is unsmiling. However, if anyone in the guarding mansion needs anything, she is always there. Even though Hood needs care every day, there is no complaint. Even if the little lowly is asked to do something, she will never do it perfunctorily. The popularity has always been very high, and people never imagined that such a day would happen. Having said that, frightening off the Scharnhorst sisters with 1 against 2, 29 sections of Nelson. No one showed up, and Shen Sipi was frightened just by his reputation. His reputation really has a lot of dark history. No, with such a record, it should be said that he has a glorious history. He is chic and handsome. That is to say, she has always kept a low profile, but someone else might have shown off in a big way. Her ponytail swung back and forth. As an older sister, Sheer had no intention of speaking for her younger sister Sipe. She said, "Spy is usually timid and is very afraid of reputation." Afraid. As soon as he said it, Sipe took a careful look at Sheng Sheng and found that the head maid was following the admiral and not looking at him. She became bolder. "Why should I be afraid of her? It's just prestige. What can she do to me?" The battle cruiser Spey was historically frightened by its reputation, so when she became a ship's wife, she was timid and afraid of her reputation, not to mention being a schoolboy. Sigby still knows a lot, mainly during class. Zeppelin, who is of German origin, likes to talk about the dark history of the Royal Navy. Although weak, London was not going to let things go, so she naturally wanted to fight back, so she revealed a lot of the dark history of German soldiers. The little Lolita listened to these as anecdotes and memorized a lot of them. Cowardly, Sipe said, people who believe in one-sided talk have no value in existence. Walking and walking, almost stepping on dog poop, Sipe muttered, thinking who could be so incompetent. She continued, historically, the Spey attacked 3 ships with one, and almost sunk the Exeter. Sigbees said, but you are a battle cruiser. They only have 1 heavy cruiser and 2 light cruisers. Isn't it amazing enough to fight 3 with 1, Spey said. Although it is a battle cruiser, the Spey only has 15,000 tons. Thinking about it, Sigsby said, the pocket battle cruiser is only 15,000 tons, so it's your little Lolita. You are a little Lolita, Spey countered, thinking that Veneto had so much water displacement that he was still not a little Lolita. Sigsby said nonchalantly, I'm just a little Lolita. The cute little round face was full of pride. Spey spread his hands, anyway, 1 fights 3, the battleship Spey is very courageous. Born from the history and memory of steel, inheriting the soul of the battle cruiser Spey, I am also very have courage. Sigsby turned her head and snorted, and she said, anyway, you were frightened by the reputation in the end. You are just a coward. It's just a destroyer, if you say that again I'll beat you up. Spey's ship uniform appeared, although only the top of his head, with semicircular bare ears, appeared. I stopped going shopping and bought beautiful clothes, hairbands, hairpins, and small jewelry. It was a bit boring, so I teased Sipe. She knew very well that she couldn't defeat the battle cruisers, but Sigsby was not afraid. She said, hey, Spey, you dare to attack heavy cruisers and light cruisers. When you hear the reputation, you will be frightened and sink. Now you still want to bully me? A destroyer who has the guts to cause trouble for Xiao Zai is just bullying the weak and afraid of the strong. Shen Chen, can you not say this? Sipe went completely crazy and turned into a crazy little bear. Sigsby smiled and said, no. Sugu stood up to smooth things over. He said, battleships are battleships, history is history, and shipgirls are shipgirls. Even if the Spey was frightened by its reputation and sank in history, now Spey is not necessarily a coward. Listen, the Admiral has said it. Sipe wrinkled his nose, no matter what others said, as long as he got the Admiral's approval. Seeing that his sister was being bullied and instead of sharing the same hatred with others, Shear said, but regardless of the history of the battleship Spey, Spey is just timid. She usually doesn't dare to go shopping alone, I have to be accompanied when I walk at night. Even though I have a room, I don't dare to sleep alone at night, so I run to Sister Desi's room every day holding a pillow. No way, Spey defended, I just went there when there was thunder. Shear smiled playfully, biting into a hot dog, which looked like a cigar. Then you are afraid of thunder. Sugu was listening, thinking that these little girls and Lolita were quite capable at quarreling. Sure enough, women were born to fight. Sigsby chuckled and said, Mola Mola. What sunfish? Spey asked curiously. You are a sunfish, Sigsby said. The sun was too strong, so scary, it scared the fish to death. The bubbles in the water got into their eyes, and they were frightened and died. There were spots on the body, so ugly. My pride was hurt. Oh no, there is a turtle coming in front, will it hit me? Well, it will die again. How is it possible that there is such a fish? Sipe didn't believe it, it was a bit ridiculous. Sigbees looked at Sugu and said, the Admiral told us, otherwise you ask him. Originally it was just an anecdote, not popular science. Although I read it online before, Sugu said, I also heard it from others. Sipe asked, Admiral, do you believe there is such a fish? Sugu said, there can't be such stupid and timid fish. Sigsby was immediately dissatisfied. "Admiral, it turns out you lied to us." Sigbys blinked and put his slender fingers in the center of his lips. "Then you said you want to marry me, do you just say it?" Sugu glanced at himself when he realized the reputation, but the head maid was someone who could betray even her sister for the sake of her master. Then Scharnhorst's expression is hard to describe, but it's quite wonderful anyway. "Thinking that you, a little fairy, are really incredible, but fortunately you are just a little lowly," he quickly said. "Of course I lied to you, you are too young, let's talk about it when you grow up." Sigsby said, "Then you can no longer hug me or kiss my face. You are lying and irresponsible." Sugu found that Scharnhorst was hesitant to speak. Desi remained silent, and Scheer looked disgusted. He thought, "Don't talk nonsense, please, you should continue to say that Sci-fi is timid," so he spoke. "You say Sci-fi is timid, and Sci-fi says that he is not timid, otherwise I will tell you a ghost story. Don't you listen well? Let's see who is afraid." Although she is a ship girl and has power far beyond that of ordinary people, her character is no different from that of normal people. "As a little lowly, I am afraid of ghosts, apparitions, and encountering bad people. But one day I am no longer afraid and my temperament changes, even if it is a destroyer, then the little lowly will become a girl, and the girl will become a royal sister." Okay, Sigsby looked excited, then looked at Spay provocatively. Sci-fi looked disdainful. She really didn't seem weak or timid. She wasn't the kind of person who would be bullied casually, like a big souk baiter or something. Scheer glanced at his sister and said, "Show off." Sugu thought hard, recalling the stories, TV shows, and movies he had seen before. He first thought of a program and got into science. In a certain village, there are strange screams in the middle of the night every day. The final result is that a fat man in the village is sleeping and snoring. An ancient temple in Mount Imei is located deep in the forest, but there has never been a leaf on the roof. It was finally concluded that it was blown away by the wind. Every weird story always has a funny ending. He thought about the headless senior sister New Orleans again, but it was fine before, but forget it now. After all, the girl has returned to the garrison, so it would be better not to commit suicide. Of course it can't be long, it should be more classic, and it should make people's scalp numb. Everyone walked past a row of coconut trees and thought about it for a long time. Sugu hadn't thought of any classic ghost stories or horror stories yet. After all, he didn't like them at all before. After thinking about it, I decided to forget it and stop telling ghost stories. Just change the topic anyway. There was still a little bit of sun, but now it gradually disappeared. He said, "I can't remember it, so I won't talk about it." Sigbys said, "How bad?" Consultant Sigsby, "Didn't you hide in the room with Xiaozai before, turn off the lights, light candles and tell ghost stories? Please tell me if you can scare Sci-fi." "Forget it, those ghost stories are not scary at all." Sigsby looked around, "There is no atmosphere yet." Sugu thought for a while and said, "Well, by the way, Sigsby, have you ever encountered anything horrible?" "Well, I remember falling off a tractor before and dislocating my hand." "No, I don't think I ever struck out," Sigsby said. Spy, among the three sisters, Sugu thought this little girl was the cutest. Sci-fi walked in front, holding her head in her hands. She turned back and said, 1 year, 2 years, the Admiral has disappeared. Will he die? Will he never come back? It's so scary." Sugu paused, not knowing what to say. He, "Admiral, are you touched by me?" Sci-fi laughed, and his smile became happier and happier. He stretched out his hand and put his palms together. "I am touched. I want to drink beer. At first it was just a game and I had no feelings for anyone at all. To this day, I am trying to find everyone and running around, for what?" Sugu walked to Sci-fi's side, squatted down, stretched out his arms to hug the little girl, and then lifted her up. "Bare underpants," Sigsby said, even though he couldn't see them. This time, all of spaceship uniforms appeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 729. Oscar, use lightning flash quickly. Xiao Zai hugged Bismarck's black cat Oscar and threw it out. Oscar just landed on the ground and ran away in an instant and disappeared. It is not as honest as the fish cake that only knows how to meow in front of its dreams, letting the little loli do whatever it wants. Because of this, it does not have the function of increasing the first stage milk volume. It had been several days since he returned to the governor's mansion. Cher was sitting on the stone pier, watching a group of little Lolita playing on the grass not far away. Although she also looks like a little girl, her temperament is much more mature and she doesn't like to play like that. In fact, holding her cheeks in her hands, judging from her expression, she was troubled. The problem is that the Admiral doesn't like other people smoking, so he is absolutely not allowed to smoke cigars or anything like that in the garrison. He can only smoke torpedoes for show. It's not okay to drink alcohol either, just a little. Really, we are all ship girls, we don't know how to get drunk, and we are not crazy about drinking. Spee doesn't seem to have much to drink. It's not because I don't have friends. There are so many people in the garrison and many friends, but all the Germans have returned to the garrison. Whether it's Bismarck's eldest sister, homegirl Bizai, Z-driver, or U-boat. There was even an additional aircraft carrier, the Graf Zeppelin. Although he only spoke a few words, he seemed very reliable. It is said that he was a former academy instructor. There was also the Hindenburg, which was just a little bit worse. It looked very arrogant, and everyone said it was silly. I thought it was correct. People care. Leipzig now manages the warehouse. The sun has set, so is the Imperial Navy. Obviously everyone is one of our own, so if we just grab something and ask questions, but still insist on registering, the kitchen goddess is not that difficult to talk to. I asked Sister Bismarck for comment, and she said that the warehouse manager should be stingy, otherwise the garrison would be too lavish to make ends meet. What, as a ship girl, doesn't it mean that you can make a lot of money just by doing something casually? But it's just a small thing, Leipzig, and all that. My sister Sci-fi, I didn't know what she was thinking. In the morning I saw her holding a mirror and scissors as if she wanted to cut her bangs flat, and then go work as a maid. What the hell, how could she do such a thing as a maid? She would just sit on a high chair with souk bader, dangling her legs with a knife and fork, and wait for someone to bring food. This is probably due to the influence of my eldest sister Deutsch, who tied up her long blonde hair into a ponytail, put on a maid outfit, and actually started working as a maid. However, her housekeeping skills are very good, especially her cleaning skills. If you just want to be a maid, that's fine. There are so many maids in the garrison: Reputation, Counterattack, Fletcher, Trust. Speaking of which, Kent also wears maid uniforms all day long, although the reason she wears them is just for the fun of Atlanta and the Admiral, for the uniform. She accidentally saw a big black ant crawling around on the stone pier. Sker flicked the ant away with her fingers. She remembered the conversation she had with her sister Deutsch in the room and became more and more worried. Although each person can have a room, everyone lives together. The reason is that the destroyers all live together, and many older sisters live together. For example, Lexington and Saratoga live together. Well, it seems because Saratoga is a sister-in-law and likes her sister very much. Bismarck and Bizai also share a room. Well, this seems to be because Bizai needs discipline and is worried about being alone. Forget it, It doesn't matter whether they live separately or together, whatever happens is fine. At night, I put the pillow against the head of the bed, then curled up my legs and read comics on the pillow. It was a cartoon by Beizai, and there was a name written on it, Too Ugly. Xiaozai ran to Beizai's bookshelf and took it without permission. Xiaozai and Beizai didn't deal with it. She was happy as long as Beizai was unhappy. My sister, Sci-fi, had already gotten under the quilt and was ready to sleep. I only saw my sister Deutschland untying her apron, and then suddenly I heard her say, "Skull, do you remember?" "Remember what?" He closed the book. "Who was working on the secretaryship when we first came here?" "I don't remember, that happened so long ago that the memory has long been blurred." "Andrea was Guangrong, or who he was, I can't remember." "The Lexington is actually a secretaryship." "What's so strange? Didn't Lexington serve as a secretaryship before?" "It seems she did, but when we came to the town hall, she was no longer a secretaryship. The former town hall has been turned into ruins. It is completely uninhabitable. There is no need to rebuild, anyway. It depends on what the admiral thinks. Wherever he wants to go, we will follow him." Then, the current town hall was established. It has been 2 years, and I heard that the secretaryship has not been changed since the very beginning. It has always been Lexington, which has been in charge for a long time. "Who did you listen to?" "Fletcher. I followed her all day and asked her many things." "Why are you following her? Fletcher is just a maid and a destroyer." "I don't want to follow the Prestige and counterattack, so as not to tell everyone." "But the relationship between Leipzig, Jade, and Enterprising seems to be quite good." "Anyway, Fletcher, she met the admiral very early, in Chuangziu, and also there was no town hall. At that time, she worked several jobs for her sister and worked hard to make money. Actually, it's okay. Lexington is so powerful, it doesn't matter even if he keeps being a secretaryship. There are not many powerful people. Among them, Washington is good, but too fierce. She has a good reputation, is chic, can do nothing, and feels omnipotent, but she belongs to the British family, so I don't want her anymore. It must be admitted that the Bismarck is very good at fighting, but it is not suitable for being a secretaryship, and it is almost as good as a soldier. Needless to say, Bizai is too lazy to die. Once he becomes a secretaryship, the entire garrison will probably be in chaos. But I remember that in the past, the town government had to change secretaryships every once in a while. Submarines were also used as secretaryships, first U-81, then Archerfish, Big Mackerel, etc. How can they handle the work? The admiral doesn't expect the secretaryship to work at all. He just wants the secretaryship to accompany him every day so that he can gain favor. Look at everyone who became a secretaryship. They later resigned and seemed to like the admiral. How did they handle it? Come to work? Didn't you also work as a secretaryship? Before the admiral left, you were the last one. Sister, you should also like the admiral. If he gave you a ring, you would definitely take it. I have no idea. There is no denying it, that's for sure. I became a secretaryship, but I don't like the admiral. There are no exceptions. By the way, there are many people who have not become a secretaryship, but they have done more sorties and expeditions, and they also like the admiral. Sister, what do you think it is like to be a secretaryship? I just remember cleaning every day, and then it was gone. I heard Fletcher say that Lexington was doing paperwork every day. Oh, anyway, it has nothing to do with me, secretaryship or something. Now, Shear, why do you think the admiral is unwilling again? Every once in a while, someone will be replaced as secretaryship. I don't know, no one could guess the admiral's original thoughts. I think the original system is pretty good. Anyone can be a secretaryship. I felt flustered at that time, sister, Do you want to be a secretary ship? Why not? I am the secretary ship. Apart from being good at housekeeping, can you really be a secretary? Just cleaning is not enough. I think it's okay. I'm very good. If it doesn't work, just leave it to Lexington. Otherwise, the reputation will be fine. Scharnhorst has also built a secretary ship before, so she should have no problem. Anyway, she knows people. Just make good use of it. I know very well that my sister has a very stubborn temper, just like she used to firmly believe that diesel engines are a good thing. Obviously no one wants the diesel engine at all, so they don't care about it. It's not like a fantasy advanced power system. Everyone is rushing to get it. Are you as good as the Lexington? I'm not bad, don't underestimate me, I'm a battle cruiser. I don't have to be a secretary ship, I just want to ask. I used to be a secretary ship, what should I do now? Aren't you already a maid? That's just because I want to be a maid, and the Admiral hasn't given me an explanation yet. Sister, do you know? I heard everyone say that Lexington looks gentle and gentle, but dragons have reverse scales, and they will die if they touch them. One is the position of the Admiral's eldest wife, even my sister Saratoga has a little any attempt, as long as there is the slightest threat, must be suppressed. There is another one, that is the location of the secretary ship. No one is allowed to touch it. It has been here for so long just to educate the former CV-16, you know, Dumpling's sister Esai Lex class Lexington, and then served as a temporary secretary ship for Washington for a few days. It's such an exaggeration. Not so many people have built secretary ships before. How about the Lexington? Sister Shear. Shear was still recalling when she suddenly heard a shout. She looked towards the grass and saw a football flying over. However, there was no way to avoid it, and bang, the football hit her on the head. It's just football, unless the iron ball is still a little bit injured. Shear rubbed his forehead. What are you doing? Z-17 kicks. She just knows how to be reckless. No matter what she does, she works hard. Z-18, if it was Xiao Zai who said this, Z-17 wouldn't be that angry. It was actually his younger sister Z-18, you are a traitor, you idiot. Seeing that the two sisters were about to fight, Cher didn't care too much. She had more important things now, such as preventing her sister from doing stupid things. Z-17, Z-18, please stop arguing. Have you seen my sister Deutsch? She seems to have gone to the coffee shop. The person who spoke was Z-21, with short green hair. He arrived at the town hall very early, but he had no sense of presence at all, as if he had been completely forgotten. Be careful, not everyone is as easy to talk to as I am, Shear said and ran away. Running uphill and climbing upstairs, Shear arrived at the coffee shop. I saw Wichita and Bumblebee playing military chess, with Long Xiang pointing beside them. York was playing darts and missed the target. Quincy was sleeping, and the headless senior New Orleans was stroking her sister's hair, looking very happy. The unicorn is sitting on a wicker chair reading a book. Today the performers are Alaska the guitar player and Guam the keyboard player, but the feeling of rock music doesn't fit well with the coffee shop. Shear walked around the cafe and didn't see his sister Desi, so he approached Sugu. Admiral, do you see Germany? She's gone. She's going to the office. She should be looking for Lexington. How long has she been gone? It's been a while. The evil admiral actually has a funny expression on his face, that's enough. With this in mind, Shear hurried to the office. In order to avoid being discovered, he carefully looked in through the window, and then saw Deutsch sitting behind the desk, with many documents in front of him, and Lexington standing next to him. What are they doing? It's not like Lexington really gave up the secretary ship to Germany. But that's it, let's go, who knows what will happen. Otherwise, it would be bad if the city gate caught fire and affected the fish in the pond. Until noon, Scheer saw his sister Deutsch in the cafeteria. She asked, "I saw you started sitting on the Admiral's seat." "Scheer, let me tell you," I asked Lexington. Then she said that it is no longer the past, everything has changed. Deutsch held the dinner plate, but she also said that if I complete the mission, she will be my secretaryship. "What mission?" "Just processing documents." Desi looked confident. Scheer asked curiously, "So how did you do?" "It's very simple." The sun was setting little by little, and when Scheer saw Germany again, the girl was standing in front of the warehouse wearing a maid outfit and holding a broom. "Sister, why are you here?" Deutsch said, "Cleaning." "You don't want to be a secretaryship anymore." "I won't do it anymore." Germany's expression was a little subtle. "This is the office." Sugu is sitting on the sofa and adding sugar to his coffee. Lexington is packing up documents with a smile on his face. "She actually challenged me. Haha. If she can really complete my week's workload in one afternoon, I will really give her the secretaryship." Sugu said, "You look very proud." "Why does Deutsch want to be a secretaryship?" Lexington's face turned cute as if it were Sugu, and said, "Admiral, let me remind you, Deutsch is still a Lolita, and I don't want to go to the military police to fish for you. Spay feels still young, but Deutsch is not young anymore, she is a girl. I allow you Fletcher and Changchun, Germany is too small." "Are you avenging a private revenge?" Sugu said. "In short, Germany has fired the first shot against the great demon king of Lexington, and everything is not over yet." Lexington smiled, "Then the big devil is going to favor the princess tonight, and a bunch of brave men will let them eat scraps, and they can only get second-hand goods." Sugu looked ugly and Lexington chuckled. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 730. The little girl Deutsch challenged Lexington, but of course she failed. A single spark can start a prairie fire. After her, several people challenged Lexington, such as Wichita. Of course, it's also vulnerable. To be honest, there are only a few people in the huge garrison who may pose a threat to Lexington's rule. Saratoga has great potential, but has been suppressed by her sister and has no chance of rising yet. Washington is capable enough, but she is distracted by her enthusiasm to bully South Dakota. It is not a wedding ship yet, the meal has to be eaten one bite at a time, and the road has to be walked step by step. There is a person who has the reputation of being the head maid. His ability is outstanding, and not only that, his popularity in the garrison is among the best, no worse than Lexington. Although he is usually steady and taciturn, he has won the Admiral's trust. Even in other aspects, once she puts on the bunny girl costume at night, she exudes fatal charm and is not inferior to Lexington. She has everything, but she lacks one thing, and that is ambition. All in all, the spark that started a prairie fire had just begun and was ruthlessly extinguished by Lexington. Not much happened, it had been many days since then. The weather was not yet cold, and in the kitchen of the town hall, Missouri was holding a packaging bag. I saw a cartoon Essex on the top of the packaging bag, and dumpling wrappers written on the bottom. Just like Bumblebee's inflatable B-25 and Xiaoxi's Bismarck nesting dolls, Sichuan Show has many stores opened by ship girls. They don't care about making money at all, just for love, and there are all kinds of interesting things. Sugu sat on the bench and said, "So, you bought a lot of dumpling wrappers and are going to make dumplings." "I remember making dumplings before, but I can't remember the details anyway. I happened to see dumpling wrappers when I went out today, so I bought some." Scharnhorst stood at the long table, wearing a burgundy cheongsam. Although it is not the high-cut cheongsam in the game, after all, the cheongsam is slit to the lower abdomen, and even the laces of the underwear are exposed. It's fine if you wear it as a sexy cheongsam in the boudoir, but you'll look like a slut if you wear it outside. Sugu thought for a while and said, "It seems like I haven't eaten dumplings for a long time." Missouri put the packaging bag on the long table, and she smiled happily. "Dumplings are not as delicious as they are, and they are not as fun as sister-in-law. Which dumpling do you want to eat? The Essex dumplings with thin skin and big fillings, and the dumplings that are cold on the outside and hot on the inside? The dumpling wives of ice and fire? One has been cooked for a long time, and the other has been educated by Lexington. No matter what the Admiral wants to do, he must not resist." "Ah, no, you want to eat together?" Sugu glanced at Missouri coldly and uttered one word, "Get out." Missouri laughed loudly. Scharnhorst put a dumpling wrapper on his palm and asked, "Admiral, will we make dumplings together?" "I can only eat, not wrap." Due to Missouri's interruption, Sugu felt something was wrong when he said this. Scharnhorst said, "The Chinese New Year is coming soon, remember to eat dumplings during the Chinese New Year." Sugu said, "Actually, we don't eat dumplings during the Chinese New Year there." "Don't want to eat dumplings." "What to eat?" Scharnhorst asked. "Fish, carp, grass carp. Fish are indispensable anyway, there is more than enough every year." Every time he mentioned fish, Sugu thought of the big mackerel and archer fish, wondering where they were. "I've seen surgeon fish before, and they're so cute. The only times I've ever been exposed were because of her." Sugu continued, "In addition to fish, there are also pork belly, yong tau fu, bacon, sausages, chicken. Speaking of which, we usually eat a lot of fish and meat, and we can't eat much during the New Year." Prince Eugen was also in the kitchen, but San Juan went to the cafe to help. She smiled and said, "Admiral, you need an akage, or you need a Quincy." "Akage is okay, but Quincy better forget it, she will eat the plate together." "Quincy will also eat you," Prince Eugen joked, "and she really meant eating you." In fact, the making of dumplings has not started yet, the dumpling fillings are still being prepared. Although the nickname is Leg Fairy, Yuxian's long legs under her cheongsam don't look much better than Scharnhorst's, and she feels like a well-matched opponent. At this time, she stood by the stove and asked, "What kind of stuffing does the Admiral like?" "Meat, more meat, the more the better." "Helena, Prince of Wales, Colorado." Missouri said. Suguki would not bring the rhythm to Missouri. He said, "Of course the meat cannot be missing. I am a leak party. Chongqing has been studying Chinese culture. When the opportunity came, she started to show off. She said, 'Leaks, long-term wealth. Praying for long-term material wealth is also a blessing for eternal life. I hope people will live long. Celery, hard-working wealth. The blessing of endless material wealth is also a blessing for hard work and pragmatism.'" Sugu was stunned when he heard this. He had eaten so many dumplings before and had no idea there were so many tricks in them. He thought this was a typical foreigner learning Chinese culture. Missouri said, "It seems that there are also copper coins, or something in the dumplings. It's both cheongsam and dumplings." Scharnhorst is also a lover of Chinese culture. She said, "On New Year's Eve, we make dumplings and put money in the dumplings. This means whoever eats the dumplings with money wrapped in them represents there will be abundant wealth and good luck in the coming year, which expresses people's yearning for a better life." Prince Eugen did not mean to be left behind. She said, "Chinese culture seems to pay attention to auspiciousness and homophony in everything. 4 means death, so no one likes this number. Then 7 up and 8 down, well, 8 or 8, I do not understand." Sugu and Yuxian looked at each other. The two of them had a tacit understanding and didn't say anything. They allowed this group of people to play whatever they wanted. Missouri suddenly said, "What if the dumplings were filled with bitter melon? Does it mean that the coming year will be harder? Why put bitter melon? It has no meaning and is unpalatable." Chongqing said, "Wrap it with sugar, and those who eat the sugar will have sweeter days in the coming year. Wrap it with peanuts, and those who eat the peanuts will be healthy and live longer. Dates and chestnuts will give birth to children early. Superstitious Missouri smiled, and then she added, those admirals always ask gods to worship Buddha, burn incense, and make offerings before building. It's not just the same thing. Africans say that a construction failure means a construction failure, and that a destroyer means a failure. Destroyers. Those Europeans don't do anything. When they are interested, they just launch a battleship. Sugu said, I think it is still of some use. Look at me, Saratoga, reputation, Ruhi, everyone gives me some luck. Can't I build the CV-16 in one go? Missouri said bluntly, I think you just want to eat human beings. CV-16, I think it's just a coincidence. In terms of ability to make trouble, Atlanta is one of the best. This girl has an out-of-the-box personality. Then Missouri was not bad, she suddenly said, seriously, let's make some bitter melon stuffing, and whoever eats it will be unlucky. Scharnhorst said, not good. It's interesting. It's not New Year's Eve anyway, so there's no need to be so particular. Missouri beamed, bitter melon, celery, winter melon, coriander, pepper, otherwise, put a lot of salt in the dumplings, and you can also put cookies made in London. Make a little of each filling, and then mix all the dumplings together. No matter what filling, whoever gets it must finish it. Think about it, isn't it interesting that everyone has eaten something they don't like and looks like bitter gourd? Prince Eugen has been in charge of purchasing. She said, there is still some winter melon, no bitter melon, no celery, and the most potatoes and cabbage. Missouri looked at the sky and said, if you don't have any, go buy it. Go to the county seat and buy whatever you see. Haha, you can also go to the medicinal store to buy some Coptis chinensis. There is definitely enough time, it's not too far. Drive a yacht, otherwise racing in California and walking on mountainous roads is just a matter of time. Sugu laughed and said, she's really not afraid of hitting a mountain when racing in California. Missouri said, the fact that they are riders is just a trivial matter. Every time you ride in someone else's car, you should hug their waist tightly. I didn't want to cuddle, she called me. Did she really say that? Sugu didn't answer. After thinking about it, Prince Eugen said, it seems possible. Scharnhorst nodded, I think it's quite interesting. Sugu glanced at Scharnhorst and thought that the game's portrait was quite beautiful, so he quickly gained a lot of favor after getting it. Despite this, no ring was given, and there was even no understanding of the girl's character. I get to know him these days, he seems serious, and he likes drinking unexpectedly. The German sisters also like to drink, which makes people suspect that this is the reason why they are together. It is said that there are many battleships and battle cruisers guarding the mansion. So far, I only found that she named a few of her turrets, Anton, Bruno, and Caesar. She is actually a quite interesting girl. Yuxian just smiles. She has a gentle personality and is good to everyone. In fact, it felt very interesting. Sugu thought for a while and said, I'm not pouring cold water on you, Missouri, you are playing like this, it's bitter melon, and the Coptis has come out, who will eat dumplings? You can't force others to eat. Let's talk about dinner. Just eat dumplings. After thinking about it, it seems to make sense. After a while, Missouri suddenly laughed. She cast a flirtatious look at Sugu, flipped her hair, blinked her eyes, and said with a very lustful look, yes, it's okay without reward. Bitter melon filling is bitter melon filling, punishment, but put something into the leek stuffing or cabbage stuffing, for example peanuts. Mr. Su, if you eat peanuts, you can do anything to me, I will never resist. You see, yes, it's not very tempting, so you must eat it. I'm not interested in you at all, Sugu said expressionlessly. Well, Missouri is beautiful, charming, and sexy. As a man, How could he not have any idea at all? He must admit that he is still attractive. Missouri just giggled and didn't think much about Sugu's words. She said, there are various things in the dumplings, including almonds. You can designate to do anything to a person. For example, Hood is very unhappy with Bismarck. If she eats almonds, you can do whatever you want to Bismarck. Otherwise, like York City, she likes the hero machine. If she eats the hazelnut, she can get the hero machine as a reward, then everyone will participate. Ideals are very full, reality is very skinny. Sugu said, why should Bismarck agree with you? What are the benefits of it? And the hero machine already has an owner, why should it be given to York City? There is no new one in the garrison. The hero machine. In that case, Missouri stared at Sugu, that's it? If anyone eats almonds, they can ask you, the admiral, to slap their backs. If anyone eats chocolates, they can ask for a date. And if there's a kiss, then it's red dates. I'm here, think about it, what else? Some people are shy and dare not redeem their prizes even if they win. In order to give them a step up, the rules are mandatory. A total of 200 dumplings are prepared, and there is also an ultimate grand prize. The ring goes right in. Prince Eugen said, what if someone doesn't want to? Missouri spread his hands, we are not forced. One side is ordinary dumplings, and the other side is special dumplings. You don't have to eat the dumplings if you don't want to play. Anyway, you have to play after eating them. You can't go back on your word. Scharnhorst thoughtfully said, but Lexington and Bismarck are already wedding ships. What will they do if they get the ring? Then just pretend that nothing happened, Missouri said. Otherwise, we are allowed to give it away. For example, if the Prince of Wales gets it, he can fight back. If he gets the reputation, he can fight back. It would be great to counterattack. Thinking so, Prince Eugen said, what should I do if the little loli eats it? Then you have to get married, even if you are U47 or U81. As for what a certain beast does, haha. What if someone cheats? Prince Eugen said, for example, I ate the ring and secretly gave it to San Juan, and San Juan lied and claimed that he had it. No one does this kind of thing. Not necessarily. If Xianghe ate it, he might give it to Ziwehe. Of course you have to take it out in front of your face after you eat it. Taking it out later doesn't count. With so many eyes watching, do you still want to cheat? Prince Eugen asked again, actually, not everyone is willing. What if you eat the ring and pretend not to have it? Just swallow it, and you will be the ship girl anyway. Missouri pulled up a bench and sat down, really, I don't think such a thing will happen. Some people eat it, and some people don't. It can't be just right. There are only a few left at the end. What if everyone gets into a fight over the dumplings? Missouri became excited, this is interesting. This is what I am doing, tearing up. Finally unable to bear it any longer, Sugu said, hey, you guys are so serious about asking me for my opinion? You actually used it as a reward. Your opinion is not important, Missouri said, we have done so many things for you without any effort. Do you think it's okay? Sugu said, our garrison was originally good, but since you came to Missouri, it has become a mess. Missouri chuckled, are you scared? Huh, who insisted on calling me to the garrison in the first place and promised me Mk6 and 91 armor-piercing bullets? Sugu looked around, actually, I don't have any objections. I don't suffer any loss, but does anyone really know how to play this kind of game? Prince Eugen, are you kidding, Advisor Sug? I won't play, Prince Eugen said firmly. Sugu looked at Chung Ching again, are you playing? I won't play. Chung Ching waved his hand. With a confident look on her face, Missouri sneered and said, don't worry about this. It's enough for someone to play with. Besides the ring, Aren't there many rewards? For example, backbeating, leg pressing, etc. Manservant, for example, just think about it slowly. Missouri leaned back in her chair and snapped her fingers. Prince Eugen, go and inform everyone. If anyone wants to play or has any opinions, please tell us immediately and we will discuss it again. Then, prepare to go to the county seat. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 731. Missouri and Prince Eugen left. In the kitchen, Yuxian was still preparing dumpling fillings. When she saw Sugu, she said with a smile, "Admiral, prepare to be the groom tonight. Naturally, we can't just prepare dumplings for dinner, but also need to prepare many dishes." Chungqing was peeling potatoes. She put down the knife in her hand and deliberately opened her fingers to count: Lexington, Saratoga, and finally Colorado. There are already 11 people. One more, Jinling, the garrison. 12 hairpins. Sugu said angrily, 12 hairpins are not enough for the governor's house, so let's have 24 solar terms. The 24 solar terms are good, including the beginning of spring, rain, waking of insects, spring equinox, Qingming. To be honest, these names are quite nice, Chungqing said. On a moonlit night at the 24 bridge, where can a beauty teach me how to play the flute? Yuxian cut leeks. After all, dumplings stuffed with leeks are the way to go, and anything else is heresy. If Bazai said this, there must be something profound, and the same goes for Missouri. But Yuxian Nian's poem definitely had no unnecessary meaning, but Sugu felt it was a bit dirty. Scharnhorst fiddled with the dumpling wrappers, thinking that she originally just wanted to try making the dumplings. After all, they were delicious. She didn't expect it to develop like this. She interrupted, 36 heavenly gangs and 72 earthly evils. Yuxian covered his mouth and snickered a little, 108 girls from Niangshan. Sugu looked at Yuxian with a resentful expression and said, that's all they are doing. If you say the same thing to Yuxian, your image will be ruined. Yuxian showed a gentle smile, what is my image? Sugu remembered that Yuxian always seemed to have a smile on his face that was filled with hatred for his country and his family, and he looked like a widow. The tear mole at the corner of his eye was the finishing touch. He said, it's nothing, just smile more. Yuxian turned around and resisted touching his hot face, as long as the admiral is by my side, it will be fine. Chungqing said with a smile, Admiral, just your words have made Sister Yuxian's favor for you even more. The favorability level is already 100, which is the upper limit. What's the use of adding one? With this in mind, Sugu said, you guys are so hard-working that you even got the ring out, but Lexington may not agree. Everyone knows the truth of the matter. Chungqing said, Lexington doesn't agree, it's enough that the Admiral agrees. Admiral, please don't bring Lexington out as a shield. Regardless of the past or the future, as long as the Admiral says a word, Lexington will never say anything. Yuxian did not continue teasing, she said, actually, if the Admiral is not willing, Missouri can't do anything. Honestly, I have nothing to lose. It doesn't matter. I just need to put rings on all the dumplings. Sugu looked lazy. Yuxian smiled and said nothing. Chungqing said, Admiral, you only talk big words. Without comment, Sugu glanced around and suddenly discovered the new world. He said, Yuxian, Chungqing, Scharnhorst, I suddenly noticed that all three of you are wearing cheongsam. Chungqing said, remind me, Admiral, not to say things that disgrace the scenery. Girls, you have to wear skirts even on snowy days. Richelieu and the others have started wearing trench coats. That's because she looks handsome and beautiful in it. Do you want her to try wearing a cotton padded jacket? Sugu laughed, even if you are a ship girl, wearing a cotton padded jacket is nothing, I know. After leaving the cafeteria, Sugu went to the office first. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Lexington smiling slightly but not smiling. He said, "They told you." Said Consultant Su, "What did you say?" "You, the Admiral, have agreed. What else can I do?" Lexington had a look of resentment on his face, and soon couldn't keep up the pretense and smiled. Missouri's character is really messed up. South Dakota took the ring and it was nothing. Whether you have a ring or not is not important at all, the most important thing is your heart. Lexington said, "The garrison should be happy, otherwise it will lead to suffering and hatred every day. I haven't seen so many things going on in other town halls. I remember they organized a program on Children's Day. We just held a song and dance performance not long ago." Lexington thought for a moment and said, "That's because there aren't that many people in other garrison buildings." Sugu immediately thought of the governor's mansion next door to him, and suddenly felt a little sad. After complaining to Lexington to show his firm resistance to this kind of thing, Sugu went to the coffee shop again. Juno, who usually stood behind the bar, was gone, and even Kent was gone. Sugu only saw a lot of people gathered around a table. Standing outside, he couldn't see what was going on inside, so he stood on the booth sofa and looked inside. Atlanta sat at the round table with a piece of paper in front of him. There was something written on it, but he couldn't read it clearly. "Everyone has an opinion, Admiral, can you help me wash the dishes for a week?" This was the voice of Santiago sitting across from Atlanta. "The rules of the Larry mansion are that whoever uses them washes the dishes, chopsticks, and plates, even if they are little girls. After all, it is a very simple matter. If not, the people in charge of the canteen would have too much work." Nodding, Atlanta hurriedly wrote down her sister's opinions in a note. "Tidy up the room," said the beautiful dealer Princeton, who was wearing a black vest today. As Sugu listened, he thought to himself, usually whoever is in need only needs to call out, but he has never refused. Atlanta bit the cap of his pen and wrote down Princeton's opinion again. The pursuer said, "Wash the windows. It's better to forget about cleaning the windows." "What if it falls?" Atlanta said, "Do it yourself." To be honest, Sugu felt a little warm after hearing this. If he falls downstairs and dies, who will be our bull and horse in the future? Sugu had no expression on his face, thinking, "Atlanta, can I strangle you to death? You should have been dismantled in the first place." Dressed in a black nun's uniform, Exeter said, "Sweeping the floor." "Tidying up the room already includes sweeping the floor." Atlanta put down the pen. "Sweeping the floor only sweeps the floor and is not responsible for tidying up the room." Understanding what it meant this time, Atlanta said, "Tidying up the room is the third prize, and sweeping the floor is the consolation prize." Peel the fruit. New Orleans and his sister Quincy were sitting on a wicker chair. Oranges, tangerines, mangoes, and so on. Before Atlanta could register, Guam said, "Do the laundry." Alaska held the guitar. "Where are the underwear?" "You don't need his help with the underwear. In terms of ability to get things done, Atlanta is also among the best in the town hall." She waved her hand. "Since we are doing laundry, underwear and panties are not considered clothes?" Guam said, "Not good." "What's wrong?" Atlanta said, "Even if you don't want to, a lot of people are willing, and that's it." "Good morning kiss." The hair tied up in the ponytail was raised up like rabbit ears, and she wore an open bra. The attacker usually liked to act cute. It was not malicious, but she was actually a girl with no ideas and a natural stupidity. She said, "Admiral must wake someone up with a good morning kiss." "Assaulter," York City yelled, slapping the table, "this is totally a benefit to him." Sugu finally remembered that in York City, small shoes will be indispensable in the future. Some people objected, and some agreed. "Wichita is undoubtedly a bold girl, and she is really unscrupulous. I think it's good." If you don't want to, give it to me. I'll repeat it again, Atlanta breathed. You don't have to play if you don't want to, but you must resolutely implement whatever you draw, and you are not allowed to go back on it. This is the tone. Otherwise, some people really want to, but are afraid of what others will say, so they are shy and decline. That would be meaningless. Transfers are not allowed, otherwise some people will have an advantage if they have more sisters. Besides, if the transfer or refusal is allowed, if Lexington is jealous and asks you to transfer or refuse, will you do it? If you don't do it, what will you do if she puts on your little shoes? You simply can't transfer it from the beginning, it must be implemented, and no one has to say anything. Lexington wouldn't do that in the minds of everyone. Lexington is still very fair and impartial, and will never use the secretaryship to embarrass others or take advantage. Even most of the time, I choose to suffer the consequences myself. Then again, being able to be with the Admiral every day is already a huge benefit. Lexington won't, but Gaga might. That sister-in-law and brother-in-law are the most jealous. Atlanta looked around, but didn't find Saratoga. She stretched out her fingers and pointed at them one by one. You guys people, one by one, are all on her list. Raider, you are a vixen. Wichita, you are too, ranked not low. And Kent, and Bumblebee. Kent was holding the ferocious tiger in his arms. She had been silent for a long time. At this time, she couldn't help but let out a surprise, "Ah." Atlanta explained, "The Admiral usually likes to bully you, so he must like you, otherwise why not bully others?" Bumblebee was equally surprised, "What does it have to do with me?" Atlanta snorted and said bluntly, "Ajarabi, you are the only one with a big ass in the town hall. Do you think you can run away in the future? He dares to touch me and try. See if I don't discount his hand." Bumblebee raised his chin. "It's not a game. Even if a ship girl joins the garrison, she can't do whatever the Admiral wants. For example, if Zeppelin were to touch it now, someone might be killed. If you dare to move, he will take away the B-25, Atlanta said. Bumblebee raised his fist, "My B-25, if he dares to steal my B-25, I will hit him." Atlanta sneered, "Didn't I snatch it away before? I didn't see you move, and you didn't even say a word in the scene." Bumblebee said dissatisfied, "I beat him up when I just returned to the town hall." Atlanta glanced at Bumblebee and looked away, then he turned into a quail. In the end, it was Northampton who finally settled the topic. Ever since the Admiral returned the B-25 to her, she has been saying good things about the Admiral every day, and her goodwill has already been filled. Bumblebee defended, but everyone nodded in approval. Atlanta thought thoughtfully, "Speaking of which, Colorado also has a big butt. It has big breasts and a big butt, so it will soon become a wedding ship." Maryland said, "West Virginia will soon be the same." York smiled and said, "The Prince of Wales also has a big butt. So the Admiral has been staying in her room recently. Didn't you see how radiant she is lately?" Sugu was listening, and it was hard to complain. "I thought to myself, I've known for a long time that girls are sometimes dirtier than men, and even 10 flashes can't catch up with them. For example, the beautiful and corrupt articles written by female authors cannot be compared to those of male authors, and they feel incomparable. Although he has resigned and was once the captain of the gendarmerie," Hipper said, "what should I do with the little loli?" Then the forehead. Atlanta thought for a moment. "How to tell if it's a little Lolita," Hipper said, "or is it the forehead of a destroyer? It can't be so one-sided. Zai is still a battleship, and Fletcher is still a destroyer. Atlanta still has some integrity, and the bottom line is there. In short, Utopia, Lafayette, forehead. Mahan, Bogolani, Sigsby, these little goblins also have foreheads." Hipper lost his usual serious look. "Kaio will definitely be fine, and I think Andre is fine too. What about Veneto?" Everyone was silent. This was a long-standing problem. Seeing that no one spoke, Atlanta began to call names. Glorious, you say it? I have no idea. Guam, you say? I will not say. Blucher. I dare not say. Sugu listened and thought to himself that none of you are willing to speak out. Are you afraid of retaliation? So everyone thinks Veneto is a little Lolita. Fortunately, Veneto isn't here, and he's probably kidnapping Hood's ginger and fish cakes again, allowing you to escape. It is said that Veneto worked tirelessly to abduct ginger and fish cakes, but no matter how much cat food, dried fish, cat climbing frame, catnip, etc. were put in, it was totally impossible. Oscar stayed up all night, but it was of little use in the first place. The ginger and fish cakes belonged to Hood, and he had to go home every night unless forced. Atlanta finally said, "Hipper, it's you, you started it, and you were in the military police before. It's up to you to distinguish who is a Lolita and who is a girl. I didn't care about this before, it was Blucher's responsibility." Hipper did not hesitate to sell his sister. I really don't blame her. If Veneto hadn't been involved, it would have been a piece of cake. Noticing that everyone was looking at him, Blucher shouted, "Sister! What did you say?" Wichita raised a question. "Atlanta, can the one-day valet you started writing about be able to order the admiral to do whatever he wants?" "You can do anything." Atlanta thought for a while, and suddenly found Sugu next to her. She didn't care, and didn't mean to take it seriously at all. She still said to herself, "But you can't cross the line. You can only do it under normal circumstances. Within the scope of servants. You can't ask to sleep with you, go on a date, etc. Otherwise, what are other rewards?" Finally, Sugu couldn't help but said, "Why do you only discuss this?" "Then what's the discussion?" Atlanta asked. "Don't you discuss dumpling fillings?" Sugu said, "winter melon filling, bitter melon filling." Atlanta said, "Missouri, Prince Eugene, and London are also out together." "London, don't worry, I guarantee it will be fun." Until the afternoon, Sugu saw a piece of paper posted on the outer wall of the cafeteria, the door of the coffee shop, and the notice wall of the town hall. First, you see a long list of activity introductions, regulations, requirements, and then reward introductions. Chestnut, the admiral will help you tidy up the room. Cashew, admiral helps you with your laundry, including underwear. Walnut, admiral escort. The much anticipated grand prize, the ring, please don't eat it, just wear it on your hand. Congratulations, from now on you are on the wedding boat and reaching the pinnacle of life. It is already a wedding ship, you can make any request to the admiral. At the same time, there was a lot of work to prepare various dumplings, and many people helped in the kitchen. Among them, Colin and Wichita were kicked out of the kitchen and scolded, "Is that what you think? Please don't do anything. Even if you do, don't be so obvious. Is this a dumpling or a shayamai? It's an insult to our intelligence, it looks like a ghost at first glance." All in all, evening soon arrived. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 732. Some people eat faster, mainly the little Lolita, especially Utopia. Every time she devours something, it feels like someone is fighting with her, like she is fighting. There are more people who eat slowly, such as York City, Bumblebee, and Northampton. They like to eat slowly and chat slowly, of course the latter is the main one. London and Hood are British ladies, but they really chew their food carefully. Akagi and Kaga always wait until the cafeteria closes before leaving. Akagi simply eats too much, while Kaga can drink anywhere. She mainly wants to accompany Akagi. After all, they are a team.
Yuxian, Pinghai, Ninggai, etc., they are responsible for picking up the dishes, and they basically wait until the end to eat. At the same time, on normal days, most of the people dining in the canteen would have already left. On this day, surprisingly no one left early. Even the little Lolita were the same. They were playing in the cafeteria, running here and there holding windmills, but did not run outside for fear of missing out. Her hair like cat ears was raised, which weakened Bismarck's handsomeness. She sat at the dining table. How could the Admiral agree to such a thing? Prince Eugen sat opposite Bismarck, and she explained it carefully. Bazi poked at her with chopsticks. She ordered beef stew with potatoes. The beef had been eaten long ago, leaving only the potatoes turned into mashed potatoes. I'm already on a wedding ship, I want a ring, I want a reward. You can mention whatever you want. He must agree to my request. Bazi, what do you want? Prince Eugen asked curiously. Not caring whether his sister Bismarck would have random thoughts, Bazi said, I want to sleep alone and have my own room. If you don't want to be in the same room as Bismarck, let's switch. With this in mind, of course Prince Eugen would not say it out loud. She knew very well why Bazi made this request. She said, even if you have a room by yourself, your sister will check how you are sleeping every night and every morning. Wake you up on time and help you tidy up your room regularly. Bismarck nodded, shattering Bazi's fantasy. She thought again whether she was oppressing her sister too much. Bazi. Tiza. If you get the ring, well, I can allow you to sleep in for a week. You are allowed to play until midnight for a week, but I don't care about you for a week. As for things that haven't happened yet, Bazi and Bismarck were bargaining. Prince Eugen looked to the other side and asked curiously, Zeppelin, can you try it later? Her long silver wavy hair hung down to her shoulders. Zeppelin knew clearly what activities, rules, and requirements she had, and she said, boring. It's not bad to give it a try. Think about it, tidying up the room, and having a valet for a day or something. Zeppelin said calmly, a gentleman does not stand behind a dangerous wall. Bismarck said, there are so many dumplings, but only one contains a ring. It can't be so unlucky. Prince Eugen couldn't help complaining, Sister Bismarck, you are a wedding ship, and you actually said you were unlucky. Bismarck suddenly realized. Zeppelin turned the fork in his hand and said, yes, it is unlucky. You must have been fed some ecstasy soup at the beginning, otherwise Bismarck, you are so good, you are worthy of him. If you are single-minded, forget it, barely even if he tries hard, he is still half-hearted and has 3 palaces and 6 courtyards. The Admiral stayed with him wholeheartedly and only dared to think about it, not expecting much. To talk about regret is out of the question. I have been to many places and met many people. The Admiral is not the best, but I like him very much. Bismarck smiled and did not explain anything. She just said, really, Zeppelin, give it a try. Even if you are lucky enough to get the ring, he won't dare to do anything to you if you have no intention. It's just a joke. Anyway, you have joined the garrison, and there is no way to leave in this life. Even if you get the ring, it will be nothing, Prince Eugen said, and she suddenly laughed, you can get the ring today, and then divorce him tomorrow. From now on, you will be the #1 person in the garrison. Twisting a few stray strands of hair with his fingers, Zeppelin thought for a moment and laughed, I was good at first and didn't do anything, but suddenly I got married for the 2nd time. I'm not stupid. Bazi chuckled. She was already a young woman, no longer the old Sig who was not worthy of her name. She became dirty, it has become second-hand goods before it is opened. In the future, it can only be sold at a discount. I will make a huge loss. Lying on the dining table with his face pressed against the table, Bazi looked at Zeppelin and suddenly asked, how old is Zeppelin? Zeppelin was so angry that she flipped her hair and said,
You don't care how old I am, as long as I'm young and beautiful, that's enough. Bacon has a long shelf life. Zeppelin said carefully, what did you say? Xiao's eye suddenly appeared. She poked Bazai's waist. In order to avoid being caught, she immediately ran away and shouted, fat. Bazai touched his waist. It was obvious that it was not a wasp's waist. He thought for a while and said, pork belly. On a date, the Admiral takes him alone to the amusement park, shopping mall, or wherever he wants to go. Escorts, in the true sense, accompany you to eat, drink and play with you. Little Loli doesn't understand that the rewards have been greatly reduced. Although there are unpalatable dumplings with bitter melon filling, winter melon sugar filling, and even the possibility of eating dumplings made by the London sister, they are still looking forward to it. Finally I couldn't help but ask, Sister Yuxian, are the dumplings not ready yet? Soon. Many people have already eaten and are chatting. Yuxian had just finished eating. She glanced at the clock hanging on the wall and thought that the steamer had been on the stove for quite some time. After clearing away the dishes, she entered the kitchen, only to see several people standing by with bowls in their hands, supervising each other to prevent anyone from tampering with her. She couldn't help but sigh. Not long after, the dumplings were brought out. Sugu stood aside. He looked at the plate of dumplings and unexpectedly found that each one looked similar. There is no difference in appearance, such as some are plump, some are shriveled, some are sunken, some are not dumpling-shaped, etc. But Yuxian explained, Wichita and Cologne cheated and drove them away. Missouri made suggestions, and then it became an assembly line. Someone was responsible for preparing dumpling fillings, Missouri, Prince Eugen, and London. Someone was responsible for preparing the dumpling stuffing. I am responsible for making dumplings. Scharnhorst's skills are pretty good, and Chongqing is getting better and better. I am responsible for final inspection and shaping the dumplings. Pinghai and Ninggai are responsible for placing them. There are many others responsible for supervision. Sugu said, you guys probably have too many tricks. Yuxian showed a smile. Missouri and Atlanta were the hosts, and there was a plate of dumplings on the table in front of them. The quantity is not very large, mainly to prevent it from getting cold all at once. The others are still in the steamer, so I plan to take one plate after another. There is no need to greet anyone, the little Loli is already ready. Xianxiang acted the fastest. She was the first in line, picked up the chopsticks and picked up the dumplings. She only took one bite and found it a bit greasy. Looking at the rest of the dumpling, there was nothing in it except a whole piece of fat. She immediately didn't want to eat it. Missouri is fierce, if you can afford to lose, you can afford to win. You must finish it. Dreaming of bitter gourd face. Who is so cruel, including such things, it's too much. A group of people were watching, they said that, laughing happily. After finishing his fantasy, Thatcher went up. Her luck was slightly better, but not much better, with ordinary leek fillings and no consolation prizes. Somerez, another warrior, stood up. She was called Legion. Holding a thick leather book in his hand, Wu Feng automatically turned through many pages. Somerez raised his goat's head staff and tapped Legion's forehead. Despite being blessed by the great shaman, or precisely because of being blessed by the great shaman, I saw Legion taking a bite of dumplings, immediately opening his mouth wide and sticking out his tongue. There are only green peppers, rice peppers, dried chili peppers, and chili powder mixed together, and nothing else. Ha ha ha! Seeing someone more unlucky than him, he was happier than anyone else. Bokin M1 ate dumplings stuffed with bitter melon, Venus ate Houtunia cordata, and she was normally serious, and Acasta ate coptis, and her aloofness suddenly disappeared. Saratoga complained, the winning rate is that low. In the end, Cushing was the first to win, and she looked confused. What are raisins?
Atlanta looked at the notes and snapped his fingers. Unexpectedly, it was a little Lolita. He said boringly, a hug, executed on the spot. Although she is usually very energetic, Cushing cannot compare to her sister Mahan in this kind of thing. She is actually a bit shy. In fact, the more reason is that in public, there are still a group of people around shouting, hug, hug, hug. We have been together for more than a year. As a little lowly killer, Sugu tells stories with a big killer, etc. Cushing's favorability has been increased very high. I've hugged you before, now I'll hug you again. Sure enough, Cushing's body was so soft, and he suddenly felt a little grateful to Missouri and Atlanta. The Fireflies failed miserably, and the whole army was wiped out by thunder and lightning, but Swafeng ate the red dates. An adult is a piece of jewelry, be it a necklace, a bracelet, an earring, a hairpin, or whatever. Little Loli is a gift, which can be a toy, a big doll, a music box, a crystal ball, or many candies, such as a whole box of chocolates, candy canes, etc. Staying away from Swafeng throughout the afternoon, Fei Ying had a playful short hair and did not dress in the neutral style as in the past. She looked delicate and cute. She said, it seems that Swafeng didn't have enough luck. He only won the third prize. The little Loli's round ended quickly, but Suk Bader, who had the best luck, did not win the prize. After all, luck is just a metaphysics. Already impatient, Saratoga joined in, and it was another proof that luck was just metaphysics. Wichita also went up, her style was bold and she didn't care what others thought. First, he put his hands together, prayed to God for blessings, and then took a big bite of the dumpling. What is this, almond? Admiral Control Cologne, Mysterious Confident Blucher, and a few more people took turns, and the atmosphere suddenly became heated. Watching the excitement doesn't detract from the big deal. Every time a person goes up, many people shout, ring, ring, ring. Finally it was South Dakota's turn. She took a bite of the dumpling, chewed it, and spit out a pistachio. Pistachio's reward was a good morning kiss, but before she could give her acceptance speech, Washington walked up. What are you doing? South Dakota said, hee, you are jealous of me. Washington pointed at the dumplings on South Dakota's chopsticks and quickly pinched South Dakota's face. Are you going to stay there? You can't get the pistachios from the bitter melon stuffing. You can hold one in your mouth beforehand and spit it out now, and it won't make you feel sick. South Dakota cheated and was disqualified. It was clear that Atlanta and Missouri were the hosts, and Washington didn't care at all, so she raised her hand. Not to mention how many people in the cafeteria remained silent while South Dakota was yelling. Leipzig sat alone in the corner and laughed without saying a word. As a warehouse manager, she got many people's thumbs. Andrea walked out and said loudly as she walked, the male servant can make any request for a day, and can he also lick his shoes? What did my sister think? As a younger sister, Ko muttered, Sundara. Karmikia, why did you push me? Veneto found the people around her staring at her with doubts on their faces. She said, really, you believe me, she pushed me. The little angel Kamichia put her hands on her hips and said, yes, I recommend you to the eldest sister. Veneto gave Kamichia an angry punch, and now the explanation was unclear. As a wedding ship, there were not so many scruples, so Lexington walked on with a smile. But her luck was really not good. When she came back disappointed, she said to Sugu, I finally understand how the Admiral felt when I was supervising your construction. I was a little nervous. After the reputation was over, no one came up after waiting for a while. Missouri and Atlanta looked at each other. Are you all shy? In this case, I'm going to start calling names. Dumplings eat dumplings. Dumplings, first of all you. Essex was reluctant and finally walked up reluctantly, with unsatisfactory results.
Washington said from the side, if you don't want to play, you can't force Missouri and Atlanta, right? Didn't I say it's all voluntary? Suddenly, many people booed Washington. Ruhi. Do you still want me to shout? Atlanta said, no, you have already come up, sit down, I said, you want to take advantage so much, you want one more chance. I remind everyone, who eats it? We remember clearly who didn't eat. With his head lowered and shoulders hunched, Ruhi gritted his teeth, asshole Atlanta, I'll kill her. Colorado sat with his sister, and she said, if you want a ring, just ask the Admiral for it. It's mainly for fun, Maryland said. West Virginia still had a bitter look on her face, celery tastes terrible. One after another, 2 rounds passed. I didn't prepare much, so there were not many dumplings left. Missouri suddenly laughed, of course the special prize must be saved for the end, otherwise whoever is lucky will end it at the beginning, which will be boring. Although I don't know which dumpling it is, I probably know which cage it is in. Since the first and second prizes have already appeared, except for some people such as Wichita, Cologne, Raiders, etc. who were very interested, the rest were a little hesitant for a while. After all, if they go up now, it is really for the ring, which is embarrassing. The little lowly wanted to eat, but unfortunately they were rejected, so they shouted, why can't we? It's not fair. Short and white-haired, she is from North Carolina and is now in the state of a Lolita body and a royal sister heart. She walked up and picked up a dumpling, I'll eat one for Washington. I'm only responsible for eating it and don't care about the rest. There's nothing I can do about it, she's not candid enough. South Dakota had long since disqualified and only participated in 1 round. She yelled, it can't be like this. Why not? North Carolina asked. Washington said, sister, it's up to you if you want to eat. I don't agree with that. I don't care whether you agree or not, North Carolina said lightly. Can it still be like this? With this thought in mind, Joan of Arc glanced at Richelieu, I'll take one for Richelieu. Then came Xiang He, she smiled, I'll take one for my sister too. With her reputation up, she picked up a dumpling and took a bite. When everyone thought she was going to say I'll eat one for my sister, she walked away without saying anything, and then gave the Prince of Wales a deep look. The Prince of Wales came up with just a cabbage dumpling. She also left without saying anything and gave Hood a deep look. Just as Hood stood up, Missouri realized something was wrong. Now it is stipulated that whoever wants to eat can do it himself, and there can be no substitution. If getting the ring counts as a counterattack, but not getting it is fine. Thinking of this, North Carolina questioned loudly, they are playing tricks. What kind of trick are we playing? The Prince of Wales pushed back. I also want a ring. You can make any request. I hope the Admiral can accompany me to travel. Okay, Washington, Richelieu, Ruhi, everyone has one chance, but fight back first. If they continue to fight, everyone will have no choice but to defeat each other. North Carolina said, okay, let's fight back. Counterattack looked around and saw the encouraging eyes of her sister and the Prince of Wales. She walked up hesitantly, took a mouthful of dumplings, paused for a moment, and covered her mouth. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 733. After a night of noisy work, it's already getting late. After tidying up and washing up, it's almost time to go to bed. Although living in the governor's house as a ship girl is not like working in a company, this is home. It's okay to go to bed late occasionally, but it has always been a habit. Nevada held the back of his head with his hands and walked out of the cafeteria. I thought it was Ziwihi, but it turned out to be a counterattack. Luck is just metaphysics, Oklahoma said. The loose windbreaker covered the woman's figure. Tennessee looked like a handsome man. She said, Prestige, Saratoga, Lafite, they are usually lucky people. Except for Swafeng, they don't seem to be doing very well sample. Nevada also wanted to tease him about the counterattack, but the Prince of Wales was there. Come to think of it, for the sake of my sister, I actually know how to do tricks for my reputation. As a member of the same group who attacked Pearl Harbor, we are all good friends. California said, the reputation seems not to care about the counterattack. As a colleague and subordinate, it is not as good as the Prince of Wales. In fact, he cares a lot. Missouri actually didn't cause trouble, Nevada said. She put the ring at the very back, Tennessee said. At first I thought it was just a casual comment, but there was actually a ring. Nevada sighed, Enterprise is not here, Colossus is not here, and Zeppelin is not playing. I still want to see what will happen if they get the ring. It's definitely not what you think, California said. It was no longer exciting, and all the little Lolita people also left. The luck is really bad. A dumpling stuffed with fat meat and a dumpling filled with jam are cloyingly sweet. I wish I could say, Sullivan, you are so lucky. He glanced at the back of a dead otaku girl angrily. It was because of her that he couldn't get close to Sister Meow. Xiaozai said, Sullivan, can we go with you too? It was a rare occasion of good luck and she won a big prize. Sullivan actually didn't want anyone to share it with her, but she couldn't refuse, otherwise she would be called stingy. She said, I don't know if I can take you with me, Sister Missouri. As I said, you can't change people, you can't give up, 1 is 1, 2 is 2. Just ask the Admiral. Kong Xiang raised his hands and punched the air with a sharp punch, rules are meant to be broken. Lafite stopped Nuanhui, be careful, you don't fall down again. Looking away from the counterattack, Saratoga lightly punched Sugu. Although her bust was plump, she only had a girlish figure and was really not tall. She raised her head and said, brother-in-law, the little maid is fighting back. Are you satisfied now? What do you mean I'm satisfied? Sugu said, I didn't agree with this kind of thing from the beginning. It's just random. Don't look suspicious. If you don't believe me, ask your sister Lexington. The Admiral didn't agree. He told me that he didn't want to. He was just forced to do so, Lexington explained, but it only added fuel to the fire. The culprit is Missouri, Gaga, you should find trouble with her, Sugu said. Atlanta is an accomplice, and Prince Eugene is also an accomplice. Saratoga didn't care about that much, she glared at Sugu, anyway, it's all your fault. I was wronged. I've wronged you, you big-headed devil. Saratoga was dissatisfied. With a faint smile, Lexington glanced at the clock hanging on the wall, going back. Going back. Saratoga followed. She patted Sugu's chest, then stretched out her finger to poke hard. Huh, brother-in-law. Huh, groom. Huh, master. Enjoy it, little maid service night. Sister, look at my brother-in-law, he is a big pervert, ignore him. I have seen them playing fiercely before. He was sitting on the tennis table, and counterattack stood beside him. The two of them were talking and laughing. Also one time, next to the power distribution room. Saratoga complained to her sister Lexington. She took no more than 2 steps and found that Sugu was still there. Hey, brother-in-law, you don't really want to fight back. Let me sleep with you. In the bright cafeteria, most of the people had dispersed, but there were still many people sitting near the windows. Wearing a maid's outfit, her long blonde hair was tied up and wrapped in a white cloth. She was sitting on the bench with her head lowered and a little uneasy. There was a ring in her right hand that was clenched into a fist. Opposite her, Guangrong looked at her with his hands on his cheeks. You fought back. Congratulations. From now on, you will be the wedding ship. You must take good care of us. Don't I take care of you enough? He countered. As a maid, she fulfilled her responsibilities well.
The fat orange cat was sleeping on her legs, and Hood was gently licking Ginger, and she said, "Call my sister to listen." And 12. Amethyst just shouted back, and she asked the Prince of Wales to pat her head, meaning not to boo. "Why just hit me?" The little lowly held her head and thought like this, but she didn't dare to say anything. "Admiral, here you go, where do you want to go?" Out of the corner of her eye, the Prince of Wales saw Sugu seeming to want to follow Saratoga, and she shouted. "The counterattack is up to you." Until Sugu came over, the Prince of Wales patted him on the shoulder, and then left with a group of British ships. She acted more like a sister than a reputation. After a moment, only he and counterattack were left. Sugu looked around and found several people standing not far away. Among them were Missouri and Chongqing, who were packing their things. Their eyes looked at the side from time to time. "Fight back, let's go for a walk." Although it is winter, it is right on the beach, the sea breeze is a bit strong, I wear enough clothes, and it is not cold at night. Leaving the cafeteria and passing by the warehouse, counterattack remained silent. Sugu thought for a while and spoke first. "Missouri likes to cause trouble the most, and so does that guy in Atlanta. Look at a cafe, with a maid outfit, and Chong Sam's, nurse uniforms, bunny girl outfits, and even police officer uniforms are out." He countered, "It's not the master's control yet. No, if you fight back, don't frame me." Even though it was true, Sugu still defended. Counterattack, putting his hands in front of his apron, "Everyone knows." With a smile, Sugu didn't explain much. He looked around to see if anyone was following him or counterattacking. She said, "Anyway, the two of them have done all kinds of messy things. You see, just do the laundry. What's wrong with washing clothes and deliberately emphasizing underwear? And what about the good morning kiss?" Fortunately, it was just U81 who got it, otherwise it would be a bit difficult to deal with. "U81, I see you are very happy," he countered. "Even for a young girl, kissing her forehead every morning is a very perverted behavior." "What? Does kissing the forehead count as perverted?" Sugu was shocked. The counterattack nodded without hesitation. "Yeah. Actually, saying that you can't go back on your word and must be implemented is just to bully honest people, such as Kent and San Diego. If it were York City, Nevada, etc., Missouri would definitely be one, and they would definitely not accept it honestly. You will never give me your underwear." He countered, "Guam got peanuts, she didn't even kiss you. It was just a slight touch of lips. There was no feeling at all." "That was a request for a deep kiss," Sugu said, remembering that scene. "Guam is lucky, or rather unlucky, and always wins." She laughed happily at others, but when it was her turn to regret it, she said she owed it first. However, it was not so easy to pass the test. It was resisted by everyone, even my sister Alaska objected, so I could only deal with it perfunctorily. In the end, only the little lowly fulfilled it properly, like Cushing's hug. After walking up a step, Sugu's expression became helpless, and he said, "I swept the floor in Essex, tidied the room in Leipzig, and ran errands for Antonio 10 times, I am a great admiral, but I actually want to do such a thing. I am so proud. It seems hard for an admiral to go back on his word. Fight back can help." Count back lowered his head, "But the master has a reputable sister, she is much more powerful than me." Sugu said, "You are also very powerful. The Prince of Wales used to run the garrison. She was the admiral and you were the secretary. They managed the garrison in an orderly manner. Although I help manage the town hall, I can't compare to my sister who opened a big company, became a manager, and made a lot of money." I thought to myself, I said before that I wanted to surpass my sister, but there is no comparison. No matter what aspect, she was immediately compared to her, and now only her back can be seen. Not only is her ability poor, but her personality is not as free, straightforward, and handsome as her sister.
Not bad. Sugu smiled and said, you have two good sisters, Reputation and Prince of Wales. Half a body behind, she hesitated to fight back, then shouted, Master. Yes. Sugu turned around. This is for you. Sugu reached out his hand in confusion and found that counterattack had returned the ring that Missouri had taken away from him. He joked, don't you want counterattack to be my wedding ship? Don't tease me, it's just a joke, he countered. How can you be so careless? What if Xiao Zai eats the ring? Xiao Zai got the ring, of course we are married. This was Sugu's innermost thoughts. He countered in a low voice, Master is a pervert. Since you gave it back to me, I'll accept it. Well, the ring is back again. Sugu played with the ring on his hand and stroked the diamond. I thought to myself that it was just a game, and whoever got the ring would probably return it. But maybe, the little Lolita ones like Wichita, Raiders, etc. will be well taken away. It's also possible in Washington. These people might take it in. Of course, they won't really regard themselves as wedding ships. In the final analysis, the heart is the most important to the ship girl, even if it is just a promise or a can pull tab, otherwise nothing is meaningful. In fact, I was looking forward to it, but when I saw Sugu accepting the ring, he didn't say anything, bit his lip in response and looked a little pale. After a long moment, she smiled forcefully, comforting herself that it was just a joke. Sugu walked in front and put away the ring. He said, not to mention the past, it has been 2 years since I counterattacked and returned to the town hall. She countered, Amethyst lost the Firefly, and she has always felt guilty. The expedition was arranged by the Prince of Wales, and of course he was responsible for what happened to the Fireflies. Amethyst saw the Prince of Wales blaming himself, and she began to worry again. No amount of comfort could do it. She also had nightmares and talked in her sleep at night. I took her to seek help, but I didn't expect to meet Exeter. Sugu felt a little embarrassed when he thought about the past. He said, I didn't expect that a nun from Exeter became a psychological counselor. Remember when she returned to the town hall, didn't she open a psychological counseling room? It's a pity that no one goes. It's closed now. I just sit there and read every day. Sugu thought to himself, with the Admiral here, why would ship girl need guidance from others? Sugu suddenly laughed, haha, when you came back, didn't you go the wrong way? You went to someone else's garrison. I didn't know there were 2 town halls here. We asked for directions and they said the town hall was over there, so we went there. Sugu said, do you know how Tian Hao complained about me later? Have no idea. You are back, and then let's go find the Prince of Wales together. We have been on the boat for a long time. In my mind, there seems to be someone throwing white gloves at me, wanting to duel with me, saying that I am intimidating you. What the hell, my little maid, mine. He counterattacked. I remember the master said before that the fate of the counterattack is determined by the counterattack, and now he said that I am your little maid. After laughing, Sugu said rudely, I was stupid before. Think about it, how could you let go of such a well-behaved, cute, and capable little maid? There used to be only a few people in the town guard mansion. Now that you are back, you have to clean and trim. You can do everything from planting flowers and shrubs to tidying up the room, except not being able to enter the kitchen. And you are so beautiful. I don't know why you wear a maid outfit every day. I remember the first time I saw you wearing a skirt with your hair down, I was really surprised. How can I say this? Heterochromatic eyes, like a doll. No LA. The two talked about what happened in the past 2 years, walking from the town hall to the pier. Unfortunately, they couldn't see the bright moon or stars at night, and then walked back to the town hall again. Getting closer and closer to the dormitory building, he counterattacked and whispered, it's very late, Admiral, please go to bed early. Sugu stopped and found counterattack looking at him. Although he had been there before,
he still felt a little uncomfortable. He thought for a moment and said, "Fight back, I like you." "Oh," counterattack responded. She took 2 steps forward, but suddenly realized something was wrong. She turned back, then lowered her head and looked at the toes of her shoes. "Okay, master, don't joke about counterattack." "I just said so much, what are you thinking about?" Sugu said. "Actually, I have wanted to say it before, but I have never been able to make up my mind. Today is just the right day." Without saying a word, Sugu simply took her hand, took out the ring from his pocket and put it on her ring finger. "Okay, my little maid." "Still a little maid?" He opened his fingers, looked at the ring on his hand, and then clenched his fist into a fist, finally waiting for this day. "Okay, let's go back to bed." Fighting back and almost crying, not just for the ring on her finger, she thought to herself, "Where should I sleep at night?"